A large man watches three powerful women approach, hearing their request to nurture someone, suspecting intentions. He challenges them confidently, carving his presence into memory, questioning their understanding. Yet overwhelming aura and weapons reveal unmatched strength. Ryon, Lyudmila, and Telomere stand confidently, as destruction erupts behind them, showing power effortlessly, while the battlefield trembles under might. Witnesses panic as a single strike obliterates a knight, proving the women's strength, leaving vast devastation across mountains and forests. Lyudmila and Ryon reveal identities, powerful masters seeking a student, discussing his potential while considering how to train him properly. Telomere remarks their luck, finding worthy men, has completely failed. The three strongest female masters stand together, dismissing weak candidates. Their overwhelming abilities are revealed, with Lyudmila casting massive spells, Ryon destroying enemies physically, and Telomere using terrifying magic effortlessly, despite their power. They fail obtaining something important, as a defeated man questions why such perfect beings seek a disciple. The women react emotionally, denying the truth, showing frustration and embarrassment as their weakness becomes exposed, despite overwhelming strength and status. The truth is revealed: they lack a man, leaving them embarrassed, while they rationalize behavior, still determined to find someone worthy. Ryon sits atop defeated men, explaining their strength scares candidates away while recalling past failures finding any decent partner months earlier. Lyudmila declares high standards necessary, refusing weak men, insisting only equals deserve them, believing stronger individuals might someday finally appear. Telomere dreams about ideal partner, while others argue, refusing compromise, showing pride and stubbornness, prevent them accepting anyone beneath expectations. Suddenly, realization strikes them all, suggesting instead of searching endlessly, they could raise a suitable man themselves from beginning stages. They agree, raising a boy ensures control, planning to train him perfectly, eliminating risks, and eventually claiming him when matured. The three women begin their search for a disciple, determined to raise a future partner, setting their goal. Months pass without success, as they relax in a city, discussing travel plans while admitting they still have not found candidates. They consider visiting another empire, believing strong warriors gather there, planning to select a promising youth among many potential fighters. Nearby, rumors spread about a legendary hero's descendant enrolling, catching their attention as they overhear conversations about his potential strength. They learn about an adventurer school attracting talented youths, realizing it is perfect place to find and train their ideal disciple. Ryon decides confidently, suggesting targeting the hero's descendant or his rivals, while Lyudmila mentions connections. The three launch forward energetically, confirming their plan, deciding the adventurer school visit is worthwhile, moving quickly, without hesitation toward destination. They arrive at Basque Rubia, a fortified city known for adventurers, magical power, and prestigious school attracting talented youths from across world. Inside the city, crowds fill decorated streets, showing lively atmosphere, as adventurers and citizens gather under banners celebrating ongoing festivities together. The festival continues loudly, with announcements about ceremonies, food, and gatherings, creating perfect opportunity for them to observe and find candidates. At the Royal Adventurers School, Celeria notices disturbance, shocked by unexpected visitors, realizing powerful figures have arrived without notice, causing concern. Inside, staff question identities, doubting claims, but sensing overwhelming presence, confirming the visitors are truly dangerous S-class level individuals. Reports reveal the women are casually occupying her office, threatening destruction if ignored, forcing Celeria to abandon duties and respond immediately. Celeria reluctantly prepares to meet them, requesting time and magical support, understanding the situation demands careful handling. Meanwhile, she orders a student's expulsion finalized, prioritizing urgent matters, while the confused boy questions situation as events escalate rapidly. Celeria approaches nervously, hoping the situation is misunderstanding, wishing the powerful women had already left before she must confront them. Inside her office, the three women relax casually, eating her food, greeting Celeria confidently, proving their presence is very real. Celeria questions their purpose, while they casually remind her of past help, ignoring her frustration, and maintaining relaxed, dominant attitudes. She argues angrily, explaining their actions always cause trouble, insisting she has no time. yet understanding she cannot easily refuse them. Ryan finally states their demand clearly, requesting the Brave's descendant, shocking Celeria as their true intention becomes immediately obvious. Ludmilla requests to take the Brave's descendant as disciple, insisting they only wish to train him, while Celeria questions intentions. Celeria suspects deception, analyzing their selfish personalities, concluding their sudden kindness is suspicious, believing they must be planning something dangerous. Others realize danger, fearing the women targeting the Brave could cause disaster, warning their involvement might threaten balance and create catastrophic consequences. They discuss possible leverage, considering threats using belongings or hostages, while Ryan's tension rises as situation escalates beyond simple negotiation. Suddenly, a massive explosion occurs outside, shaking the city, interrupting discussion, forcing everyone to react as chaos spreads rapidly nearby. Everyone inside the office reacts to loud explosion, rushing toward window, shocked expressions forming. Outside, massive clouds gather above city, rumbling violently, signaling abnormal disturbance spreading across skyline and alarming everyone within surrounding districts. Citizens panic as buildings collapse and debris falls. Confusion spreads quickly, while people try escaping sudden destruction. A gigantic creature emerges from ground, roaring loudly, its massive body destroying terrain as it rises, threatening entire city with overwhelming presence. The monster fully appears, towering above city, multiple limbs moving violently, causing widespread destruction, while its roar echoes across entire region. The massive slime creature spreads across city, crushing buildings, while roaring loudly, its enormous body overwhelming streets and terrifying nearby citizens instantly. Celeria identifies the monster as Poison Slime Hydra. Shocked by its abnormal size, realizing ordinary forces cannot handle such dangerous threat, Ryan recognized the monster's extreme danger level, understanding it requires national force, while worrying it will eliminate all potential candidates. Without hesitation, they launch attack together, rushing forward at high speed, striking the creature directly, while unleashing overwhelming power toward it. A nearby observer watches battle unfold, coughing from destruction, commenting on situation, while witnessing chaos caused by both monster and attackers. The massive slime monster spreads through the town, releasing destructive energy, while the boy panics, struggling to escape. Ludmilla descends calmly, casting powerful ice magic, freezing everything instantly. While the boy and others watch helplessly, Ryan charges forward aggressively, shouting loudly, summoning immense strength, preparing to confront the giant slime monster directly despite its destructive presence. The slime monster is struck violently, exploding under immense force, its massive body collapsing as the surrounding town suffers heavy destruction. The boy crashes through debris, injured and confused, while the battlefield settles, leaving destruction behind after the overwhelming clash with the slime monster. Ludmilla analyzes the Hydra like slime, realizing its strong resistance, freezing only the surface, while warning that its core remains unaffected. Ryan rushes forward despite warnings, while Ludmilla cautions about deadly venom, explaining even small exposure could instantly kill average fighters nearby. Telomere observes calmly, doubting direct attacks, suggesting her vexing abilities might work, though uncertain due to the creature's rapid recovery ability. She jumps into the slime's body, enduring its corrosive form, landing inside safely while preparing to attack. Activates her vexing skills fully, Telomere releasing strange energy inside the slime, targeting its core directly as bubbles surge violently outward. Telomere continues attacking inside the slime, while Ludmilla encouraging her as the creature struggles violently against her internal assault. At the academy, Celeria observes the situation, noting the three women's overwhelming power. Though their caution complicates handling the threat efficiently, Celeria receives urgent reports, immediately organizing teachers and staff, prioritizing damage control, while reacting quickly to the escalating dangerous situation nearby. She learns the truth, realizing the crisis is not isolated, but a massive monster stampede approaching far beyond the current battle's scale. A large horde of monsters charges forward across the land, their overwhelming numbers and unknown strength. Celeria realizes the crisis escalates rapidly, connecting the Hydra incident with the sudden monster stampede, immediately issuing urgent evacuation. Ludmilla unleashes combined elemental magic, striking the slime repeatedly, attempting to overwhelm its regeneration and resistance. The slime expands massively, absorbing attacks and growing unstable, towering over the city, while Telomere reacts. Inside the slime, Telomere continues attacking the core relentlessly, enduring pressure and damage, while the creature convulses violently from sustained internal assault. The slime's core destabilizes and explodes outward, releasing massive energy, tearing apart its body, and finally collapsing under the combined overwhelming attacks. The slime's core shifts unpredictably, emerging within its body, while Telomere notices the abnormal position. Lyudmila quickly explains their plan, coordinating attacks carefully, while Rion ensuring Telomere can keep targeting its core. Adventurers observe from below as Rion calls for someone to strike the core, trusting others while the three masters hold the monster steady. A massive magic circle appears, weakening all statuses as Telomere's vexing skill spreads, drastically reducing the Hydra's strength and resistance across its body. The weakened Hydra opens wide, exposing its core, while nearby fighters struggle under the effect. The Hydra releases a powerful roar, spreading panic among civilians, while its poison threatens everyone. A skilled swordswoman appears, confidently assessing the situation, declaring she will finish the monster as she prepares to engage immediately. She rushes through the city, dodging destruction, while civilians notice her arrival, recognizing her as one of Solaria's reinforcements sent to help. The swordswoman accelerates forward, drawing both blades, focusing intensely as she prepares to unleash a decisive technique against the weakened Hydra. She executes countless precise slashes, cutting through the Hydra's body rapidly, overwhelming it completely as her attack spreads destruction across its form. She rushes toward the Hydra's core, but the slime suddenly restrains her tightly, halting her movement. Rion, Lyudmila and Telomere react with shock. Realizing the captured fighter might be the chosen hero, the restrained warrior is revealed as a girl, surprising everyone, while observers question her identity and wonder about her connection to Solaria. They analyze her strength and equipment, recognizing royal symbols, confirming she is powerful, yet uncertain why such a fighter appeared unexpectedly. The Hydra unleashes another roar, draining energy from everyone, while their previous efforts seem wasted as despair spreads rapidly. The boy kneels briefly, gathering resolve, while above him, the chaos continues, and he decides to act despite overwhelming danger. He suddenly runs toward the Hydra's exposed core, ignoring fear, while Rion notices his movement, realizing someone unexpected is charging directly into danger. As he advances, a status display appears, revealing he is a 14-year-old human with no skills and completely empty abilities, shocking observers. Despite having all zero status, the boy continues forward determinedly, gripping his weapon tightly, refusing to stop. The young boy appears with zero stats in every category, revealing his weakness and surprising others who expected potential from him. Rion urgently orders protection as the boy faces danger, explaining the Hydra's weakness, while others realize his fragile situation. The boy charges forward despite fear, gripping his weapon tightly as the massive Hydra towers ahead, presenting a final desperate opportunity. Leaps and strikes the Hydra's body, he reacting quickly as its limbs move, attempting to land a decisive blow. He is knocked away violently, tumbling through the air as the Hydra's counterattack overwhelms him, leaving him vulnerable and shocked. The boy witnesses sudden explosions, striking the Hydra, confusion spreading as unexpected force interrupts battle, giving him brief moment of hope. Rion and Lyudmila watch intensely, showing concern and determination, silently urging the boy onward. The Hydra screams violently while attacking, but the boy steadies himself, enduring pressure as another force intervenes and disrupts monster movements. Multiple powerful strikes rain down around the boy, forcing him into defense, while realizing overwhelming attacks are targeting the Hydra from above. The swordsman struggles watching battle, recognizing boy's effort, while enduring pain, hoping he survives despite overwhelming danger surrounding him. The boy struggles against the Hydra's pressure, injured and exhausted, barely standing while its massive body looms, threatening to crush him. He notices the Hydra's core exposed briefly, realizing the opportunity, tightening his grip as determination replaces hesitation, despite overwhelming fear. The Hydra grabs him tightly, but the boy refuses surrender, enduring pain while preparing a final strike against its vulnerable core. With a desperate swing, he shatters the core, breaking through defenses as fragments scatter, signaling the Hydra's defeat and collapsing power. After the victory, the Hydra's remains crumble, while another powerful figure arrives, observing calmly as the aftermath settles around battlefield. Rion, Lyudmila, and Telomir rush forward through the air, moving quickly toward the battlefield, determined to reach the boy immediately. The Hydra's massive body collapses into fragments, towering debris falling across the city. As destruction spreads, the women descend among the ruins, observing injured people and devastation, confirming battle ended while searching urgently for the boy's condition. Ryan orders Telomir to use recovery magic quickly, launching another attack simultaneously to eliminate remaining threats and secure the area. They reach the boy's broken body, beginning healing immediately, noting poison slowed, while urging him to survive through their combined efforts. The boy regains consciousness weakly, asking about the hero's safety, while the women reassure him and continue healing his injuries. The swordsman stands quietly apart, arms crossed, as Ryan observing her with a serious expression. The group gathers as the boy smiles faintly, relieved, while Rion and Lyudmila question another presence, who arrived during battle. The swordsman kneels apologetically, blaming herself for carelessness, while Rion and Lyudmila listen. They reflect on the boy's actions, realizing he risked everything to help the hero, deepening their interest in him. Lyudmila, Rion and Telomir reflect on the boy's reckless courage, acknowledging his determination, while questioning why he risked himself without strength. The boy lies unconscious among ruins, breathing faintly, while the women stand nearby, silently observing his fragile condition after battle. The women declaring they found him, as all three women gather around, focusing their attention on the injured boy. A distant view shows the devastated land, highlighting the massive destruction left behind, emphasizing the scale of the recent battle. Within fading consciousness, the boy drifts into darkness, questioning his weakness while thoughts blur, his body nearing collapse from exhaustion. The boy suddenly awakens in bed, eyes wide with confusion, trying to understand his surroundings after losing consciousness during battle. He sits up inside a quiet room, noticing unfamiliar surroundings, while a voice nearby greets him, confirming his long-awaited awakening. Rion appears beside him, leaning close confidently, explaining she was worried, while the boy reacts nervously to her sudden presence. Introduces herself clearly, Rion revealing her identity as a powerful S-class Dragonian adventurer, leaving the boy shocked and overwhelmed. She shows proof of her status, explaining Dragonian's superiority and rarity, while the boy struggles to process her overwhelming strength and status. Rion calms the boy, explaining she will tell everything, while he anxiously questions his situation and why someone powerful noticed him. She explains they are in a former base, used now for recovery, as many injured people filled the church nearby. The boy learns about the chaos, understanding many were injured, though damage remained limited due to location and reduced presence. Ryan explains recovery efforts continue, praising the boy's actions, stating his bravery helped reduce casualties and stabilize the situation. She reassures him gently, saying he should feel proud, though most people cannot remember his efforts due to unusual circumstances. The boy doubts himself, recalling weakness, but Rion reassures him firmly, insisting his actions mattered despite lacking strength and experience. Rion becomes embarrassed after speaking honestly, struggling to express feelings, while the boy reacts awkwardly to her unexpected sincerity. She boldly asks him to become her apprentice, explaining his situation, offering guidance since he has nowhere else to go. The boy hesitates, shocked by proposal, questioning his worth as an apprentice while recalling his failures and lack of ability. He doubts reality, believing everything is a dream after death, unable to accept sudden change and Rion's overwhelming presence. Telomir and Lyudmila suddenly appear, confronting Rion, accusing her of acting first, while the boy is thrown back in confusion. Rion reacts aggressively, admitting awareness, while the boy remains shocked behind her, unable to follow the sudden escalation between them. Telomir and Lyudmila introduce themselves proudly, explaining their strengths and insisting the boy should choose them as his mentors. The argument intensifies as all three women claim responsibility, refusing compromise, each declaring they will be the one to train him. Their conflict erupts into a fierce clash of power, overwhelming the boy as their abilities surge, turning the room chaotic instantly. The ground trembles violently as their clash causes an earthquake, alarming others while the boy realizes their power surpasses the Hydra. Amid chaos, the boy proposes becoming all their disciple, hoping to stop their conflict while standing nervously between the three women. The women consider his suggestion seriously, realizing raising him together may create the strongest result. Shifting their focus toward cooperation, they agree on the plan, declaring him their apprentice, while the boy reacts in shock as the decision is made suddenly. The boy stands overwhelmed, struggling to process becoming the apprentice of three S-class adventurers, unable to fully believe his situation. The boy introduces himself as Cross a la carte, declaring his age and status, admitting he has no class, surprising the three women greatly. Cross promises to try his best, despite lacking talent, while the women accept him, placing him in difficult position under their expectations. Cross leaves the orphanage and academy, determined to train seriously, becoming disciple of three powerful women. Later, he arrives at a massive mansion where Rion, Lyudmila, and Telomir gather, preparing to begin his intense together. The women secure a huge mansion for training, showing immense wealth, while Cross realizes their power extends beyond combat into influence. Rion, Lyudmila, and Telomir argue again about teaching Cross first, their rivalry continuing as each insists on controlling his training. Cross nervously accepts guidance while Rion confidently plans brutal training, promising to strengthen him using overwhelming methods. Despite his hesitation, Cross listens as Telomir casually mentions dangerous plans, leaving him unsure, while the women treat serious matters lightly without concern. Rion and Telomir laugh together, agreeing to start training, while Cross watches nervously, still unsure if their earlier statements were serious. Training begins immediately as Cross attacks Rion, but she easily blocks, showing overwhelming skill. Rion explains Cross was suppressed before, analyzing his weakness, revealing his sword ability declined due to harsh treatment and poor guidance. Cross listens as she explains mental and physical pressure weakened him, suggesting his poor start affected development, leaving him confused yet determined. Rion confronts Cross directly, exposing his fear and hesitation, explaining his panic affects his sword. Cross recalls being mocked and struggling in school, unable to gain skills, while others surpassed him, deepening his insecurity and doubt. At evaluation, Cross is declared jobless with no skills, shocking him completely as others witness his failure and hopeless situation. Crowds ridicule Cross as weakest student, labeling him worthless, while he stands frozen, overwhelmed by humiliation and disbelief at reality. Celeria expels Cross, saying adventuring is impossible, leaving him desperate, promising effort despite rejection, but losing all direction and hope. Cross recalls being expelled and called jobless, realizing his weakness, yet beginning to understand his condition through reflection and harsh truth. Rion evaluates Cross calmly, explaining his lack of results comes from poor practice, but confirms he still has a solid foundation. She telling Cross to enjoy fighting, insisting fear of close combat will prevent his training from progressing. Demonstrates power by overwhelming a creature, explaining if Cross learns properly, he can strike anyone using his full strength. Rion orders Cross to attack her directly, ignoring his fear, declaring this dangerous challenge as the true beginning of his training. Cross hesitates to attack Rion, worrying about hurting her, while she notices his concern and tells him to lower his guard. Rion calls for Lyudmila, mocking Cross's kindness, explaining his hesitation is naive, while Cross remains confused by her reaction. Lyudmila appears and prepares magic, calmly ignoring the situation, while Rion tells her to quit before something dangerous happens. Then, Lyudmila unleashes massive earth magic, creating a huge destructive formation that shakes the entire area, demonstrating overwhelming power effortlessly. Cross is thrown into chaos by the explosion, shocked and terrified, realizing the scale of their power far exceeds anything he imagined. Cross panics amid destruction, shouting for Rion, while Telomir calmly explains the mansion contains soundproof barriers preventing damage from spreading outside. Rion stands unharmed within chaos, assuring Cross he cannot injure her, further overwhelming him with her fearless attitude. Then Rion demonstrates durability, letting Cross understand attacking her is safe, then challenges him again, pushing him to abandon hesitation completely. Cross begins attacking repeatedly, gaining rhythm, while Rion encourages aggression, teaching him to strike decisively and awaken his suppressed killing intent. He grows more intense during training, swinging harder, while the others react to Ryan's methods, realizing his mindset is rapidly changing. Cross undergoes intense recovery training as Rion and Telomere transfer stamina and willpower, restoring his exhausted body after brutal combat. After training, Cross receives food and instructions to rest, while Rion reminds him recovery is essential and harshness alone will not help. Cross explores the mansion bath, amazed by its size and luxury. Feeling grateful, Ludmilla prepares an enormous meal, placing Cross in charge of eating, explaining nutrition is important since his body is worn. The three women encourage Cross to eat everything, treating meals as training, while he's surprised by their overwhelming support and generosity. Cross eats enthusiastically, finishing large amounts of food quickly, surprising himself as his appetite increases. After eating, Cross rests while Ludmilla arrives, deciding to begin her instruction, preparing him for the next phase of training. Seriously, Ludmilla brings Cross to a room, instructing him to undress and lie down, heard that made him shocked. Cross hesitated on the bed, startled as Ludmilla calmly instructed him through an unusual training session. She applied the lotion with practiced hands, claiming the massage would enhance his stamina and latent magic. As warmth surged through his body, Cross began sensing something new, an unfamiliar flow awakened within his core. The session ended with flushed cheeks and quiet thanks, though Cross couldn't ignore his rapidly beating heart. Alone in bed, Cross whispered her name, unsure whether it was magic or something far more dangerous. Just as Cross relaxed, Telomere appeared unannounced, pulling him into another strange reward-based training method. While draining his mana, she justified everything as necessary, combining rest, development, and questionable magical techniques. Rione burst into the room in outrage, furious at Telomere's approach and its inappropriateness for trainees. Cross lay overwhelmed, questioning if carefree, chaotic lessons from elite mentors would really help him grow stronger. Outside, his instructors clarified their intentions. Toughness wasn't their method. Growth came from knowing one's own strength. After 3 intense days, Cross began matching her sword rhythm, confidence finally shining through his stance. He noticed a strange lightness in his body, his senses sharpened, and magic stirred for the first time. With a powerful swing, Cross unleashed newfound strength, surprising his mentor and prompting sudden interest in his progress. His status plate revealed unexpected skills, proof that their unconventional training method had indeed started bearing results. They praised his new abilities, realizing his jobless class could unlock versatile growth few others ever achieved. Cross felt the difference in every motion, surprised by new strength even without any visible stat increases. His mentor acknowledged his rapid growth, attributing it to effort long before training had even officially begun. Overwhelmed by praise, Cross fought back tears as her words struck deeper than any sword ever had. With encouragement, they prepared for real combat, emphasizing growth through experience rather than relying on pure numbers. Though nervous, Cross began believing in himself, trusting Rion's guidance, and determined to take on his first monster. Rion returned with a massive serpent, presenting it as Cross's test target to wield his sword. Terrified by the monster's threat level, Cross panicked, realizing his training had escalated far beyond expectations. Cross stood paralyzed, facing the snake-like creature. Its swirling eyes overwhelmed him, draining his awareness instantly. Before he could react, the beast coiled tightly around him, squeezing his body and cutting off breath. As he gasped, his mentors explained the monster's eye tricks. He realized its weakness hid within vision. Freed but pressured, Cross dodged rapidly, blade ready. He sought an opening to strike without being ensnared. Surrounded again, Cross steadied himself. Remembering her advice, he activated his skill mid-spin, timing everything on the rotation. Cross unleashed a precise slash, his blade cutting through the snake eyes cleanly, in one sweeping motion. Breathing hard, he stood victorious. Their praise felt earned. His skill had finally proven itself in combat. Later, reflecting beside his mentor, Cross proudly shared how hard training had led to his first triumph. Fueled by medicinal wine and encouragement, Cross resumed training, sharpening his senses and technique with renewed determination. His confidence rising, Cross trained harder. Behind him, whispers of a prodigious girl warrior named Giselle spread. As Cross trained harder, his mentors saw potential. With steady growth, his sword began moving more confidently. Together they fought, studied, and learned. Each day brought progress, challenges, and stronger bonds with his masters. His skill list expanded quickly. Despite being jobless, his talent flourished under guidance and constant, focused training. Prompted by their support, Cross revealed his true goal to be reinstated into the adventurer's school he'd admired. Memories returned. 4 years ago, monsters destroyed his village, planting fear and purpose deep within his heart. The hero Elysia descended amidst chaos, cutting down monsters and saving Cross's village in a single blaze. Inspired by her strength, Cross longed to protect others too, though doubt clouded his feelings and thoughts. Encouraged by his mentors, Cross accepted the challenge: take the reinstatement exam and prove his adventurer worth. They cheered him on. With excitement and anxiety mixed, Cross learned he'd first gain one extra skill. Grinning, his master hinted at a secret weapon. 20 days later, he stood before the exam gates. Cross stood tall before the exam, fueled by training, encouragement, and a newly gained resolve. He stepped through the doors, remembering every lesson. Whatever the format, he would face it head-on. The roaring crowd stunned him. Instead of a quiet trial, he was placed under public scrutiny. Voices mocked him from all sides. Despite nerves, Cross braced himself as an unexpected opponent approached confidently. A powerful student stood ready, his chosen foe. Shocked, she questioned why a jobless would challenge her now. Cross realized his opponent's fury was real. Rion had orchestrated this duel to test his true resolve. Cross stood alone, mocked by those who had expelled him. A contest was declared, his final chance to prove himself worthy again. Before a roaring crowd, Cross entered the arena. His opponent, Giselle, smiled with confidence. The match began without mercy or hesitation. She attacked with overwhelming force. Cross, panicked, activated a minor defensive skill. It wasn't enough, her blade closed in, relentless and fast. Giselle's explosive strike shook the arena. Dust settled. Everyone believed Cross was defeated, buried under rubble, unable to withstand her overwhelming strength. But Cross rose, bruised yet alive. The crowd gasped. His body endured, using defensive skills activated moments before impact. Giselle's eyes widened. Determined, Giselle activated her next technique. She lunged with force, blade twisting forward. Cross countered instinctively, surprising her with unexpected timing and reaction. Giselle's strikes pressed hard, but Cross stood firm. His fear faded. Replaced by something clearer, he finally began to understand his own strength. He recalled the blow he'd taken, less painful than expected. As surprise filled the arena, memories and faces pushed him to rise. Cross struck back again, shifting speeds cleverly. His movement confused Giselle, forcing her into frustration. Strategy, not power, turned the battle's momentum. Cross laughed in disbelief, surprising even himself. Giselle, furious, launched a deadly strike. Dust flew as her blade carved a massive arc. To everyone's shock, Cross countered. His sudden offensive skill forced Giselle back. The crowd erupted, witnessing a classless underdog take unexpected control. Despite the upper hand, Cross gasped for breath. His attacks lacked weight. He realized Giselle's strength remained unshaken and dangerous, just waiting to rebound. A hidden technique was explained: X skill, born from combining multiple powers. Giselle prepared hers, confident it would overwhelm Cross in one decisive clash. Fueled by fury, Giselle launched forward with deadly strength. The arena shook. Cross braced himself as the force cracked the ground beneath. Cross froze beneath her killing intent. Memories echoed lessons, guidance. Fear lingered, but he charged in, knowing resolve alone might earn him survival. Cross unleashed a fluid combination of skills: dashing, striking, evading. His movement blurred as he activated techniques designed exactly for reckless, fearless assaults. With perfect timing, Cross struck using his own special move, an improvised, low-tier counterattack that shattered Giselle's momentum and pushed her off balance. The arena fell silent. Giselle crashed to the ground, defeated. Cross, still standing, had overcome expectations and proven his strength through grit. Giselle crashed to the arena floor. Dust settled. Cross remained standing. From above, a watching mentor smiled, satisfied by his explosive determination. The judge raised his hand. The crowd erupted. Cross had passed. Shocked and trembling, he slowly realized he had done the impossible. Tears welled as Cross confirmed his victory. Giselle, beaten and bitter, collapsed. Even so, she couldn't deny the strength he'd shown. Congratulated warmly, Cross beamed with disbelief. He had returned to school. The mentors noted his potential had only just begun to unfold. His status plate shocked everyone. Despite zero base stats, his skill growth was explosive. Something about him defied logic, even within this world's rules. The mentors exchanged glances, impressed and concerned. Cross ran ahead with new confidence, unaware he had just begun rewriting everyone's expectations again. Cross stood atop the hill, joy flooding his chest. Behind him, the academy awaited proof that dreams could reshape even fate itself. Elsewhere, the mentors discussed a distant legend, one praising a mysterious hero worshipped like a god. Curiosity sparked their next journey forward. In sacred lands, outsiders were made to dress formally. Cross and the mentors adapted, stepping cautiously into an unfamiliar tribal domain. The group pushed through waves of monsters. The terrain grew chaotic, yet spirits stayed high. Cross marveled at how alive the place felt. Their advance halted before a monstrous guardian. Towering and armored, it blocked the final path. Undaunted, the team charged with one united cry. After a fierce clash, the giant fell. Cross asked about the revered god, but the truth hit. What they fought wasn't human at all. Cross returned joyfully to the academy after a brief outing. His energetic arrival surprised Lyudmila, who had just come back from her own mission. Lyudmila reported Cross's surprising progress. Despite doubts, he passed the exam. The others struggled to understand how such a result could even be possible. They examined Cross's status plate. His rapid growth stunned them. Lyudmila sought answers, unsure how a once hopeless student gained skills with such intensity. Without warning, a furious blast erupted. Flames engulfed the area as she unleashed power, punishing those responsible for meddling in forbidden matters again. The battlefield boiled in silence. She stood alone, breathing heavily. Below, a survivor screamed in anger, struggling to understand the sudden, overwhelming attack. Amid scorched ruins, the girl staggered up, clothes burned. Accusations flew. Her voice cut through, revealing their crime and demanding answers without hesitation. Frustration boiled over. She accused them of ruining Cross's future. The others denied wrongdoing, pointing instead to results too strange to ignore. Suspicion grew. No one admitted to interference. All eyes turned to the one who took Cross in, demanding answers for his growth. Though they trained him properly, his development surpassed expectation. Despite lacking a class, he grew far too fast. It made no sense. At Almeria Royal Adventure School, lessons continued. Professors explained how some unique abilities could awaken naturally or later through extraordinary events or circumstances. Cross listened attentively, blending academic learning with training. He planned to absorb knowledge quickly to better understand his mentors and grow stronger. While Cross tried to focus, simmering tension remained. From afar, a hostile glare reminded him someone still hadn't forgiven past mistakes. Cross hesitated to join a team for training. Despite asking politely, everyone avoided pairing with him, unsure how to handle his presence. Realizing he was being shunned, Cross grew anxious. His conflict with Gazelle made others wary, undermining his goal of gaining battle experience. Cross approached Gazelle, trying to resolve things. Her glare stopped him cold. Nearby students warned him off, fearing another explosive confrontation brewing. Just as tensions rose, a magical appraisal tool appeared. It could expose everything hidden, every detail, prompting another review of Cross's mysterious abilities. They peered through the tool once more. The display flickered oddly. What emerged left them stunned. Far more was hidden than they imagined. Cross's stats appeared ordinary, but layers beneath told another story. Someone asked quietly if this was skill concealment, deliberate or naturally occurring. The appraisal revealed unusually advanced concealment. The instructors agreed to keep the findings secret even from Cross until they understood the situation. Elsewhere, concern stirred. With many skilled adventurers nearby, someone might uncover Cross's secret. Meanwhile, an unexpected figure approached, shocking the students around her. Cross was stunned by her arrival. The others recognized her immediately. Alicia Lafagayon, descendant of heroes, now standing confidently before them without warning. Cross called out in shock as Alicia approached. Her presence alone carried weight, leaving him uncertain about her intent or sudden arrival. Alicia's sudden entrance silenced the entire room. Her commanding presence unsettled the students. She approached the boy, eyes locked, expression unwavering and determined. As she neared, he froze, confused by her intent. Alicia stared into his face, recognizing something. Her grip tightened, startling him with unexpected force. Tears welled in her eyes as relief washed over her. She clasped his hands. Around them, murmurs spread, drawing attention from the curious crowd. Without hesitation, Alicia lifted him and vanished from the room. The others stood stunned, realizing her strength wasn't just status but lived experience. Now outside, the boy tried to express his gratitude. He recalled past moments, realizing this wasn't her first time rescuing him from danger. Memories of an earlier battle surfaced. He had once risked everything for her. She remembered too, moved by his courage and persistence. She thanked him sincerely, offering help in return. He panicked, unsure how to respond to her genuine gesture and overwhelming presence. Faced with her offer, he hesitated. Remembering a girl he upset, he awkwardly asked for advice on making amends with her. After some thought, Alicia proposed a simple idea: bring her a snack. Her solution was direct, unexpected, but somehow oddly fitting for the situation. Alicia suggested they go together. He panicked at the thought, but she smiled and ran off to change without hesitation. He waited nervously at Church Square, unsure if she'd truly return. The sudden voice behind him startled him more than expected. Disguised in a magical cloak, she arrived unnoticed. She explained its power, revealing she'd come secretly just to help him. She whispered that today was their secret. His thoughts raced, unsure what it meant, but he followed, heart pounding with anticipation. They explored the market stalls, trying snacks and sweets. Her relaxed demeanor contrasted her usual strength, leaving him feeling both amazed and confused. Together they wandered, sharing food and light moments. Alicia enjoyed herself freely, while he tried to savor each second of this rare day. They sat to rest after walking. She smiled, relaxed for once. He wondered if she often shared moments like this with others. He asked carefully. She admitted it was her first time enjoying the town, not for duty, but simply for herself. Moved by her honesty, he asked to hear her stories. He wanted to understand the strength and path behind her quiet smile. She began her tale, recalling a deadly encounter in the valley. As he listened, vivid images of combat and danger filled his mind. He admired her bravery, but she admitted fear was always present. She trained relentlessly, trusting that effort would carry her through each battle. She praised his courage despite his low rank. Her words startled him, but he humbly credited others for helping him grow and survive. She called his earlier act heroic. Grateful for the day, he tried to respond, but she was already turning to leave quietly. Before disappearing into the crowd, she reminded him to deliver the sweets. He watched her go, words of thanks still unsaid. Elsewhere, a delivery arrived at the Academy lounge. The group gathered curiously, unaware it was tied to the quiet hero's promise. Cross's package reached Giselle, but what was meant as a gesture erupted into chaos, leaving her soaked, humiliated, and furious. Giselle exploded with rage. Her pride wounded, she vowed revenge. Meanwhile, others cautiously tried steering the situation back toward quest planning. Elsewhere, rumors spread of monsters near the western forest. Giselle saw an opportunity, one that could mask her retaliation under official duty. Alicia entered the hall with silent authority. All eyes followed her. She approached Cross confidently, ignoring the whispers circling around them. She leaned close without hesitation. Cross froze in shock. Her calm presence and sudden closeness overwhelmed him before he could react or speak. Alicia expressed relief, clasping his hands tightly. The crowd stirred, murmuring louder. Cross stood confused, unsure how to respond to the moment. Without warning, Alicia whisked Cross away. The hall erupted in confusion, while onlookers whispered of her unmatched swordmaster rank and surprising decision. As they walked, Cross reflected on the past. He confessed how she'd saved him before, gratitude quietly building behind his nervous voice. Memories resurfaced, her rescuing him amid chaos. She confirmed it with a smile, revealing she had searched for him ever since. Alicia expressed her thanks and offered help. Cross panicked, overwhelmed by her sincerity, unsure what he could possibly request from someone like her. Faced with her patient stare, Cross nervously admitted there was a girl upset with him, and he didn't know how to fix it. After listening, Alicia suggested the answer plainly: snacks? Her serious tone puzzled him, but he quietly accepted the advice with visible relief. Alicia proposed they go snack shopping together. Cross panicked again, but she promised to change first and meet him at the plaza. At the plaza, Cross stood nervously. Alicia appeared from behind, disguised, greeting him with a soft voice that startled him completely. Wearing a magic cloak, Alicia explained her secretive arrival. Unseen by guards, she was free for now to help without drawing attention. Alicia placed her finger to her lips, hinting secrecy. The two walked together, their pace slow, hearts nervous, blending into the city crowd. They explored food stalls, carefully inspecting every snack. Alicia eagerly led the way, savoring treats while Cross followed, arms full of packaged gifts. The day continued through cafes and busy plazas. Alicia remained disguised but cheerful. Cross struggled to focus, overwhelmed by her presence and cheerful energy. Alicia's bright smile caught him off guard, making him feel nervous yet at ease. They found a bench, snacks gone, silence lingering warmly. They shared quiet thoughts under the fading sky. For her, freedom was rare. For him, the moment was unexpectedly meaningful, walking without purpose. As the sun dipped lower, she thanked him in her own way. Curious, he asked her to share stories of the battles she'd faced. After sharing laughter and snacks, the two rested at a plaza bench. He quietly watched her, admiring how naturally she smiled in public. They spoke of missed experiences, her constant training, his lack of funds. For once, both enjoyed aimless wandering, savoring freedom neither often had. As sunset bathed the city, she thanked him with sincerity. Curious, she asked to hear his tales, eager to understand his hidden strength. As the sun lowered, they talked warmly. Her praise stunned him, and they parted with smiles, one grateful, the other flustered. In the crowd's hum, he walked alone, heart stirred by her kindness. Memories of her words echoed, guiding his silent steps forward. Back at school, students buzzed around a mysterious gift. He froze, puzzled, wondering who had left behind such a thoughtful surprise. Cross sent a box of treats to the common room. Everyone rushed in joy, unaware it was a prank. Chaos exploded across the floor. Fuming with embarrassment and rage, she vowed revenge. Her image shattered, she scrambled to maintain control, while others pretended not to notice the mess. Schemes unfolded elsewhere. Rumors of monsters in the forest spread. She grinned darkly, plotting a trap while Cross prepared for an unexpected journey. Cross trained harder than usual, breaking another sword. Seeing his determination, Leone decided it was time to escalate his training with new challenges. To diversify his growth, Cross began lessons under Ryudamira and Teromiya. Ryudamira introduced wind magic, pushing him to connect his energy with nature's flow. Ryudamira forced Cross into a magic-sensitive state, ignoring protests. Spinning through air, he struggled to focus while Teromiya objected to the unorthodox teaching method. 2 days later, Cross launched his first wind spell. The impact shocked him, but it proved his body was finally adapting to magic. Ryudamira acknowledged his progress, but warned him about casting time. Meanwhile, Will noticed Cross's skill list had changed in unexpected ways. The mentors analyzed Cross's rapid growth. Despite limited time, multiple skills awakened. They prepared tools to uncover what made his abilities so unusual. Cross admired his rapid growth and the skills he gained. With determination, he purchased a sword, ready to earn back his savings. At the Adventurers Guild board, Cross searched for quests. Warnings about monsters and forest activity hinted at danger and possible opportunities for rewards. Cross realized forming a party was essential. Surrounded by old friends, he quietly hoped they'd join, though he hadn't found the courage yet. Cross was invited to join the party. Grateful and surprised, he accepted, crediting Alicia's gift for mending past tensions with Giselle. The group entered the western forest. Roles were assigned carefully. Cross, still classless, followed orders, determined to support and learn during battle. Deeper in the forest, doubts rose. Despite low-ranked monsters, the group unknowingly approached danger, trusting their leader's choice to stray from marked paths. The group reached the quest location, but no monster appeared. Cross sensed unease until a friend warned him too late about suspicious quests. Giselle ambushed Cross in a whirlwind of hostility. The team was stunned as betrayal and blades collided without any clear reason why. Consumed by wounded pride, Giselle revealed her grudge. Her plan wasn't about monsters, it was vengeance for losing to someone with no class. Surrounded and mocked, Cross deflected a blow. Giselle attacked with fury, blaming him for stealing the life she believed was rightfully hers. Tormented by shame, Giselle recalled the scorn she endured. Her obsession with status drove her to prove herself through brutal, reckless revenge. As chaos unfolded, Nitra prepared a divine spell. Cross realized the danger escalated beyond personal grudges. Someone was about to unleash real destruction. Nitra's water spell crashed violently. Cross barely reacted in time, overwhelmed by the sudden magic blast aimed directly in his direction. Dodging desperately, Cross activated emergency skills. Surrounded and under pressure, he reminded himself of his journey and refused to fall without resistance. With resolve, Cross gathered wind energy. Chanting his spell, he formed a counterattack, channeling everything he'd learned into a single decisive strike. Cross faced the roaring magic head-on. Gritting his teeth, he realized hesitation would only lead to defeat and made his move. He summoned wind into his hands. Focusing every ounce of strength, he formed a single spell meant to decide everything in one strike. With power unleashed, Cross released his wind shot. The attack cut forward with force, finally turning the tide of battle in his favor. Cross's wind shot landed cleanly, knocking enemies back. Shocked, Giselle realized he now wielded magic, proof he was no longer the powerless underdog. The boy stood firm, facing the shocked group. His unexpected command of magic unsettled everyone. Wind gathered swiftly, echoing his determination to end everything. As the swirling air launched forward, panic spread. The boys' wind spell struck, breaking their coordination. Dust surged as opponents scattered, stunned by the attack, but the magic halted mid-air, suspended by unseen force. A new challenger intervened, revealing her hidden power. The tide of battle shifted once more. A fierce whirlwind burst from the girl's palm, slamming into him. His defense shattered. He crashed down, confused and overwhelmed by the sudden force. She revealed her magic, proudly controlling initiative itself. Trapped and helpless, he realized her ability neutralized his own. His frustration deepened under her mocking confidence. Backed against a tree, he reignited his resolve. Chanting again, he cast his spell defiantly. A final shot, desperate to break the oppressive deadlock. He unleashed another wind blast, obscuring the field in a thick smoke screen. Using the chaos, he quickly dashed toward the forest's deeper shadows. His pursuers regrouped with discipline. Though confident in their strength and knowledge of the woods, they misjudged his intentions and underestimated his resolve again. As one scouted ahead, tension rose. Strange noises surrounded them. Something unseen stirred. The group paused, uncertain whether it was him or something worse. The ground exploded without warning. A massive shockwave sent bodies flying. Confused and overwhelmed, they couldn't comprehend what had just struck them. A wide path of destruction stretched across the forest. Trees uprooted, allies injured. She scanned the wreckage, trying to grasp what caused the devastation. A towering beast emerged through the smoke. Its armored frame loomed silently. She froze, realizing this threat surpassed anything they were prepared for. She identified the threat immediately, a rock lizard warrior, far beyond their level. Panic spread. This was no ordinary mission. Something had gone terribly wrong. With quick orders, she sent the others fleeing with the wounded. She stood firm, determined to buy them time against the advancing monster. The beast charged. She braced herself, sword in hand. Alone, she faced it head-on, unwilling to let anyone else bear the cost. Wounded and breathless, she faced the truth: sacrifice was inevitable. If someone had to stay behind, she chose to be that person. As the survivors escaped, he hesitated. Faint memories stirred a promise made in youth. His sister's encouragement echoed as guilt began to rise. He remembered her gentle smile and his vow. Tears fell. Crushed by regret, he mourned the dream he could no longer fulfill. Bruised and bitter, she stood to face death. Shame burned deeper than fear. If nothing else, she'd fight to leave a mark. With one last burst of rage, she screamed her defiance. If she was going down, the monster wouldn't forget her face. Blade raised, she charged into its jaws, a lone warrior embracing her fate. This was the final stand she'd chosen to make. With tears in her eyes, she prepared for the end. The beast charged. She stood her ground, ready to face death alone. Just before impact, a figure burst into the scene. He screamed her name mid-leap, launching straight at the monster without hesitation. The counterattack struck the creature's face. Her eyes widened in disbelief. Reinforcements had arrived. Her sacrifice would not be alone after all. As debris settled, he turned to her, breath ragged. She stared, stunned. He had returned, standing between her and certain death. The monster's sudden appearance froze them. Cross stepped forward while Giselle stood in shock. Injured and confused, she was told to flee before danger overwhelmed them both. Ignoring the risk, Cross shielded her from danger. Despite their past tension, he acted without hesitation. His attack failed, barely harming the enemy, increasing their peril. A towering rock lizard loomed before them. Retreat seemed impossible. Giselle's injury slowed them, and strategy broke down. Cross questioned how they'd survive such overwhelming power. Fear pressed into his chest as the creature loomed. Still, he stood firm beside her, sword shaking. If they failed here, no one would survive. Memories of his mentors and friends surged. Their strength had once saved him. Now he had to stand, not flee, for the sake of others. The beast charged, roaring with force. He analyzed its rhythm, searching for an opening. Retreat wasn't an option. Survival depended on reading its next move. Cross lunged toward the monster's throat, aiming for its weak spot. With full strength, he launched a counterattack, gambling everything on this single decisive strike. His blade clashed against the beast's armor, barely leaving a mark. The enemy recoiled, surprised. Cross's sword trembled, outmatched steel against living stone. Realizing brute strength alone failed, Cross shifted tactics. Observing its patterns, he prepared a spell. The monster charged again, unaware its doom approached from magic instead. Cross activated his magic, lowering the creature's defense. With renewed determination and memory of training, he launched a precise counter, aiming at the monster's vulnerable spot. The strike connected, but his weapon cracked under pressure. Though the monster staggered, it wasn't finished. Cross braced himself as the tide turned again. A crushing blow sent Cross flying through debris. Pain surged as he hit the ground, weapon shattered, and hope beginning to slip from his grip. Cross lay motionless, body broken by the enemy's blow. His status sheet fluttered nearby, glowing faintly, as a skill activation flickered deep within the torn page. Despite his injuries and weak skill levels, Cross rose. He had reasons to keep going, dreams to fulfill, people to protect, and pride left unshattered. Memories of helplessness fueled his defiance. Refusing defeat, he stood under the falling rain, sword ready, vowing to fight until his strength was gone. Though battered, Cross refused surrender. He shouted in defiance, casting magic again. The beast charged, but this time, he stood ready to meet it head-on. Gathering wind around his blade, Cross unleashed a powerful wind shot. The spell struck true, halting the monster's charge in a sudden, forceful burst. He cast guard out repeatedly, stacking defenses. Surrounded by magical force, he prepared for the creature's retaliation, betting everything on enduring the next impact. Cross dodged the monster's strike using evasion magic. Then, in quick succession, he cast guard out, wind shot, and clear cut, refusing to let up. Though exhausted, he pressed forward. Others feared he'd burn out, but Cross gripped his blade tighter. He knew this attack had to count. With a desperate cry, Cross poured all remaining energy into one final strike. Magic swirled, the ground shook, and the monster staggered from the impact. As Cross unleashed wave after wave of magic, the others watched in disbelief. Each cast only fueled his strength, momentum building without any sign of slowing. Elsewhere, at the Royal Adventurers School, his mentors uncovered a sealed record. Shock filled the room as they glimpsed a mysterious truth tied to Cross. They discovered his unique skill, Cinderella Grey. It allowed rapid mastery of any ability. What seemed reckless determination was powered by a hidden, growing force within. As Cross fought fiercely, his mentors realized the truth: his skill growth was unlike anything known. His potential soared, defying every expectation and breaking known limits. With his stats rising rapidly, Cross unleashed all he had. Pain surged, but he roared through it, his evolving strength now overwhelming even the monster's might. Cross's hidden skill was discovered just as a threat emerged from the western forest. Townspeople panicked, calling adventurers. A strike team formed immediately for defense. Giselle and Cross entered the forest ahead of others. A large monster attacked, separating them. The team hesitated, watching the beast advance through broken trees. Under pressure, Cross used his magic training. He condensed wind and launched an attack. Giselle countered fiercely. Their will to survive pushed their skills further. Cross launched at the beast with unnatural precision. His movements blurred, blades struck from all sides. Spectators froze, mistaking his solo charge for a full party. The skill list flashed, overwhelming in scope. Cross gasped for air, hands trembling. Giselle watched in disbelief as he rose again and charged forward. Despite relentless attacks, the monster's scales held firm. Cross doubted himself, but his training endured. He stood tall, though no clear damage had been dealt. The beast unleashed a massive wave of fire. Cross stood frozen. His blade trembled as the ground beneath him cracked from the incoming blast. The explosion roared forward. Cross braced, barely holding firm. Behind him, a voice called out, calm but firm, reminding him something vital had been overlooked. Giselle appeared, injured but resolute. She revealed her magic could weaken monster abilities. Cross staggered back, surprised. Together, they prepared for one last joint attack. Cross and Giselle combined their spells. Wind and magic surged forward, spinning violently. The beast braced. Giselle fell, but Cross readied her weapon mid-charge. The combined strike landed with force. The monster screamed as armor cracked. Cross pressed in, driving the blade deeper, finally pushing past the outer shell. Cross gasped, stunned by the result. The beast reeled back, but his guard lowered too soon. Its eyes locked forward, and rage flared once more. Cross dropped his guard, stunned. The beast retaliated instantly. Giselle leapt forward without hesitation, shielding him. Her scream echoed as the strike slammed into them. The impact shattered the ground. Debris flew everywhere. Both bodies were tossed aside, broken and bloodied. Cross and Giselle lay still beneath the settling dust. Giselle cried, begging Cross not to die. Her voice trembled. The beast advanced again. Cross, bloodied and shaking, stared back. Something in his eyes changed. Memories of training returned. Cross stood again, shaking but firm. Fear remained, but so did resolve. Hard work, he believed, wouldn't abandon him now. With every skill activated at once, Cross pushed his body beyond limits. If nothing worked alone, he'd combine them all into a single decisive strike. He focused everything he had learned, every chant, technique, and lesson. Now was the moment to unleash it. There would be no second chance. A vortex formed around Cross as the chant echoed. Unaware of how, his body moved instinctively, drawing power from something beyond his control. Energy coiled at his core. A new form emerged, neither taught nor learned. It combined spells into something unique. Even Giselle was stunned by it. The spell launched forward as Cross shouted its name. The system marked it as unknown. Aegis shot blasted toward the beast's chest unrelentingly. Aegis shot pierced the monster's defenses, triggering a temporary weakness. Cross saw the opening and surged forward, ignoring pain as the final moment approached. With everything unleashed, Cross struck the core directly. The monster's armor shattered under the pressure. His final blow landed clean, shaking the battlefield into silence. The girl froze as the monster towered above, jaws wide. Atop its back, the boy fired a risky skill to expose a brief weak point. Seizing the moment, the boy launched downward, sword drawn. Blood scattered as the strike landed. She watched breathless, the tide turning in one clean motion. Only a month ago he trembled beneath her training. Now, strength surged through him, earned through pain, persistence, and defiance of every limit she imposed. Kneeling in the monster's shadow, he clenched his sword. Bloodied and shaking, he realized the impossible. He had survived the battle, and the beast had fallen. Breathing raggedly, he collapsed in exhaustion. Across the field, she watched in stunned silence. The reality setting in, he truly brought it down. Together, they endured. Despite chaos and doubt, their efforts brought victory. He celebrated without hesitation, while she processed everything: his growth, the risk, and the monster now lying still. After a brief scolding, the urgency returned. They decided to dismantle the monster quickly, hoping to use its parts for protection as they escaped. Their exit was short-lived. Explosions thundered nearby as two powerful figures arrived. One viewed the scene with suspicion, suspecting vengeance disguised as a training test. Magic surged through the forest as others joined the search. Though Cross was victorious, his danger hadn't ended. His location was still unknown to them. Beneath warm light, they rested against the fallen beast. Their battle was over, and exhaustion finally overtook the two survivors, still unaware of nearby watchers. The others arrived in a frenzy, amazed by the outcome. Cross tried to speak, but the toll on his body left him unsteady and fading. Surrounded by chaos, Cross smiled faintly. His strength was gone, but his heart felt close, just barely, to the towering figures he called masters. As sunrise bathed the land, his goal grew clearer. One day, he would become someone who could protect others when it mattered most. In a peaceful room, Cross slowly opened his eyes. Soft light poured in, signaling safety. The harsh battle was over. He had survived again. Voices surrounded him. Familiar faces welcomed him back. Confused but relieved, he realized he'd returned to the mansion. He was alive, and not alone. Reassured about Giselle's safety, Cross listened quietly. The others confirmed his effort. For the first time, he was credited for facing real danger alone. Surrounded by his mentors, he learned the truth: he had defeated a level 4 monster. Unbelievable, yet real. His journey was being recognized at last. With excitement and pride, Cross declared his growth. He credited his survival to their teachings, finally seeing himself as more than just a burden. Though the mentors debated humbling him, they couldn't deny his charm. Their pride showed, masked by mild threats. Cross earned their praise, unaware of its rarity. Days later, at Almeria's adventurer school, Cross stepped into a lively hall. Unaware, his quiet entry began stirring whispers and curious stares among the crowd. Students murmured about the jobless defeating a strong monster. Cross remained unsure of the attention until Giselle turned, startled by the noise he unknowingly caused. Cross approached Giselle, unaware of her lingering emotions. She stood tense, arms crossed, while classmates observed in silence, puzzled by the distance between them. Unsure of her reaction, Cross backed away. Giselle hesitated, then softly admitted fault. For a moment, their eyes met, and the barrier between them eased. Their classmates, overwhelmed with guilt, rushed to apologize. Cross accepted without hesitation. His kindness surprised many, leaving them unsure if he was strong or just too forgiving. Excitement spread across campus. Whispers about the battle reached even the halls. Cross's feat became a rumor, fueling curiosity and sudden attention from all sides. While some doubted his rise, others smiled quietly. Giselle walked away, calm now, carrying unspoken pride for the boy who'd finally proved himself. Before recognition, Cross had struggled. Weaker than his peers, mocked and outmatched, he stood alone, still trying despite his stats showing nothing but zeros. The system judged strength through spirit and level, Cross, with nothing to show, faced disdain. Giselle, frustrated, saw no point in wasting time on him. Dismissed and mocked, Cross trained alone. Despite the insults, he clung to hope. If he could earn a class, everything might finally change. Driven by desperation, he trained through the nights. As the harvest ceremony began, Cross prepared to see if his efforts would finally be rewarded. The dean addressed the students, urging them to accept their class placements with humility. Cross listened silently, awaiting the moment that might change his future. Students celebrated loudly, their results revealed one by one. Cross grew tense. Meanwhile, Giselle, praised again, walked confidently past the crowd, stronger than ever. Giselle stunned everyone with her 10-skill evaluation. Eyes turned to Cross. He stepped forward, uncertain, but something unusual began to stir as the ceremony continued. Cross received the result jobless, no skills. Shock spread through the hall. Eyes judged him, whispers grew. He forced a smile, hiding the sting inside. Despite rejection, he returned to class. His spirit endured while others doubted. One watched in silence, uncertain if pity or respect would define her gaze. The courtyard grew tense as Cross charged his magic. Watching closely, the women waited. Wind gathered, pressure mounted, and his sword released a focused burst. The spell struck with full force. Cross lunged behind the magic, his blade flashing. The impact landed squarely, sending both surprise and pain through his target. The woman stood unfazed, analyzing his technique. She explained his merged skills aloud, confirming Cross's ability to weaponize weaknesses using magic, strength, and calculated precision. Cross stood surrounded by praise. Though his strike was powerful, doubts lingered. His success rate was low, and precision made the skill difficult to rely on. Despite the drawbacks, his mentors saw value. They proposed focusing on existing strengths first. With guidance and structure, Cross accepted their training plan with resolve. His efforts revealed something extraordinary, an error skill no one recognized. A hidden trait boosted his growth rapidly, shocking his masters with the unprecedented skill surge. Each mentor, realizing Cross's hidden strength, secretly schemed to win his favor. Cross, unaware of their thoughts, calmly returned inside and resumed his quiet routine. One by one, the mentors approached with offers, plays, tournaments, training. Cross, confused and cornered, tried balancing the attention while holding a plate with nervous hands. Chaos erupted. Their rivalry intensified, masking concern as competition. Insults flew, tempers flared, and Cross stood trapped at the center of their escalating personal power struggle. Cross hesitated as the mentors left for a light exercise. Left alone, he resumed dinner, feeling the distant rumble of battle shaking the windows. Battered and tied, the mentors returned without a winner. Cross wondered if this chaos was routine. A lottery was proposed to settle their conflict. The next morning, the crowd gathered at the Grand Colosseum. Tension built. Cross watched as warriors entered the arena, ready for the gladiatorial contest ahead. Cross and Rion sat among the crowd, watching the intense matches unfold. He cheered excitedly, swept up by the energy and spectacle around them. The semifinals ended in a fierce finish. I1 shared insights, teaching Cross how tactics and rivalries sharpen adventurers even outside real battlefields and quests. As the finals began, Rion explained the basics of appraisal skills. Cross observed closely, learning to judge power and class in real-time combat. Rion suggested a friendly wager to test judgment. Cross hesitated but joined in, eager to apply his growing knowledge to predict the match's outcome. Cross chose the heavy warrior, explaining his reasoning. As the battle intensified, he analyzed tactics, noting the careful build-up behind each planned, devastating attack. Momentum shifted. The quick flash knight struck swiftly, revealing hidden counters. Cross watched closely, realizing both strength and weakness depended on more than just speed. With a final strike, Pavlov claimed victory. Cross watched in awe, energized by the intensity. The arena roared as the champion raised his blade triumphantly. Cross eagerly praised Rion's teaching and asked to return someday. She offered him food, hiding her delight as he blushed and nervously accepted her kindness. In the waiting room, Pavlov received praise from an influential figure. Behind the celebration, political ambitions stirred noble factions eyeing him for strategic advantage and control. From her throne, Catalea Richmond claimed the next step. Confident and composed, she declared her intent to expand territory and establish dominance through public strength. Catalea outlined her plan: enter contests, display superiority, and gain attention. Each victory would increase her influence, ensuring House Richmond stayed ahead of rising political tensions. The next day, Cross reflected on the tournament. Giselle approached with surprising awareness, offering help after learning of his struggles from fellow orphans. Giselle invited Cross to join a quest with high rewards. Though unsure of his readiness, he accepted the request, quietly weighing the opportunity's weight. Cross examined the details: slimes, numerous and fluffy, yet profitable. The simple nature convinced him. With determination, he accepted the challenge without further hesitation. Cross joined a vast crowd gathered for the annual slime suppression contest. Though inexperienced, he stood hopeful, unaware of the trials waiting beyond the excitement. As stronger warriors boasted of rank-ups and experience, Cross's curiosity grew. He faced pressure from peers and mentors, unsure if his hidden training would be exposed. Giselle confronted him about his secret methods. After explanations and scolding, she softened, warning him gently. Cross nodded, realizing someone truly cared for his safety. Giselle's embarrassment passed quickly as Cross teased her, but tension rose when black specks filled the sky. The group braced. Danger was closing in fast. The sky erupted with a swarm of fluffy slimes. Though adorable in appearance, their aggression was real. Hunters below prepared, weapons drawn to repel them. Coordinated squads launched spells and blades with precision. Cross shouted commands amid the chaos, joining forces with others. The real contest had just begun violently. Multiple squads unleashed powerful spells in sync, aiming to thin the swarm. Flames and magic rained upward while slimes retaliated, darkening the sky with chaos. As the sky grew wild, Giselle led the charge with swift precision. Warriors sliced down slimes. The real battle had begun. Everyone fought to prove themselves. Amid the frenzy, Cross fought with determination. While others outpaced him, his resolve hardened. He wouldn't be outdone. The contest now became a personal trial. Despite continued attacks, the slime's advance held firm. Cross protected his allies as formations shifted. Lily fell in danger. He rushed in without hesitation. Giselle called for a defensive formation. Even with their numbers, the slimes overwhelmed them. Cross realized these creatures weren't just pests, they were a real threat. Without warning, a massive explosion erupted in the distance. The battlefield froze. No one understood the cause, but its shockwave changed the fight entirely. Cross and Giselle reeled from the blast. From the distance, a composed mage laughed triumphantly. Her magic had shifted the battlefield with brutal effectiveness. She stepped forward, calm and confident. Using wide-range magic, she unleashed another incantation, determined to shake the enemy lines again with overwhelming force. As the fluffy slimes swarmed aggressively, her squad invoked earth magic. Giant rocks hurled forward, colliding with the front lines in a crushing assault. A new wave of elite fighters entered the fray, overwhelming the slimes. Confident and composed, they took control, striking fast and without hesitation. Catalea Richmond, the magician behind the blast, stood victorious. Her overwhelming presence stunned Cross. He recognized her from the legendary Gladiators Tournament victory. Giselle confirmed her identity. At just 16, Catalea's magical prowess had skyrocketed. A rare dual mage, her potential left even seasoned warriors deeply impressed. Giselle explained the political motives behind noble activity. Cross struggled to focus as another slime wave surged, forcing everyone back into action immediately. The contest ended with Catalea's overwhelming victory. Her squad's power crushed all competition. Cross's group performed admirably, but the gap in experience remained clear. Afterward, the team reflected under the castle walls. Giselle emphasized training, especially for Cross. Coordination had faltered, and their next challenge wouldn't wait. Cross's companions teased him about Giselle's intentions. Though embarrassed, he appreciated her effort. Their teamwork was far from perfect, but bonds were slowly forming. While Cross observed Catalea's quiet departure, a wordless glance passed between them. He couldn't decipher her thoughts, but something about her lingered in his mind. From a distant carriage, nobles discussed the team's surprising performance. Catalea smirked, intrigued by the rise of commoners and the classless orphan making unexpected waves. Doubts lingered among nobles watching from afar. Despite disbelief, they marked Cross's group for future scrutiny, starting with Giselle, who had risen too quickly. Behind veiled plans, Catalea plotted silently. Giselle's unusual skill drew attention. If Giselle wouldn't align with them, they intended to eliminate her first. At the orphanage grounds, older trainees lined up with weapons as younger kids readied slime-shaped stones. Training was beginning, and everyone prepared for the chaos. Stones launched in all directions. Trainees slashed, blocked, and stumbled under pressure. Cross struggled to keep up, dodging frantically as voices called out across the field. Losing focus, Cross drew his mentor's anger. Still, the team's energy lifted him. Despite the scolding, he smiled, glad to train beside trusted companions. A noblewoman approached, mocking the orphanage's training and status. Despite compliments, her tone belittled their effort. The team listened warily, Sensing her condescension behind every word, she offered false praise while calling them weak. With a smug grin, she declared them her subordinates, masking dominance beneath fake kindness. The orphans stood tense. Rejection followed swiftly. Rion's cold defiance stunned the noble. Though threatened, she stayed firm. The group's unity grew stronger in the face of noble arrogance. Despite questions, Giselle ended training and ignored the noble's offer. The next day they were barred from quests, accused without warning or clear explanation. The source of the claim was revealed, a false report from Catalea. Her smile concealed malice as she mocked their lack of noble power. Catalea's knights insulted the orphans. Giselle remained calm under pressure. Though humiliated, she stood firm, rejecting pity and defying threats with quiet strength. Catalea demanded submission and loyalty. Giselle, seeing through the ploy, agreed to play along, knowing the path forward would require stepping into dangerous ground. Instead of yielding, Giselle challenged her to a duel. If she lost, she joined the nobles. If she won, the petition would vanish. Catalea accepted with smug delight. Both sides prepared for battle. Amid tension, Cross worried, but Giselle stayed resolute, shouldering the fight with unwavering confidence. Giselle explained the noble faction's true purpose, gaining influence and followers under the guise of control. She warned them to stay alert and gather knowledge. The city served as a proving ground. Nobles competed for prestige in marriage. Gaining fame here meant power, especially in preparing heirs for noble duty. Stronger nobles kept lands safe. Weaker ones lost control. Respect dictated survival. Now, with ambition rising, the orphans had become the noble heirs' first target. Giselle revealed nobles targeted vulnerable orphans to expand power. Cross realized the truth too late: commoners were merely tools. Winning was their only way forward. Despite uneven odds, the team strategized. Victory depended on defeating Catalea directly. Morale strengthened as they saw the battle as a chance to prove themselves. As battle preparation began, new allies proposed unorthodox training. With urgency and humor, they focused on speed, resilience, and tactics to counter the nobles' edge. While two mentors argued over training methods, another calmly assessed the enemy's strategy. She confirmed their foes were artillery-based and outlined a logical counterplan. She explained Cross's rare talent, combining melee and magic freely. If trained correctly, he could shift the battle's tide and become their crucial trump card. With a confident smile, she proposed a new path: to forge Cross into a true magic swordsman, capable of overturning any crisis on his own. Cross learned the true meaning of becoming a magic swordsman, balancing melee and magic through intense training. The debate among mentors revealed deeper tensions between them. Despite objections, it was agreed Cross's safety and growth required mastering stable, powerful magic. The group reluctantly supported shifting his training towards spell-focused combat. With little time to spare, Cross was suddenly whisked away for training in the abyssal sea of trees, a feared place known for housing devils. Landing in the feared forest, Cross watched as a magical training ground was created. His challenge was clear: survive and grow by defeating real monsters. Cross arrived in the abyssal forest, carried by his three masters. A massive tidal wave cleared the terrain, exposing the hidden battleground beneath. They stepped onto the cleared field. Cross stared at the twisted landscape, realizing this harsh place was chosen to forge his strength through brutal experience. Curious about their power, Cross asked about their elemental skills. One mentor smiled, holding back answers, choosing mystery over clarity to keep him guessing. A small incense bag was thrown high. As it burst, a mysterious scent blanketed the forest, drawing monstrous creatures from every direction toward them. Cross panicked as swarms of beasts charged. His mentor calmly explained the incense's effect, designed to lure monsters, and declared this chaos the start of training. With no time to argue, Cross was seized by the others. The mentors prepared him to face the gathered monsters in brutal survival combat. Cross began training under intense wind pressure. Guided by his mentor, he focused on casting magic repeatedly to grow stronger with each attempt. His body endured constant wind as his mentor pushed him forward. Each blast improved his control, defense, and magical strength under real-time stress. Cross's efforts paid off. His magic stats rose sharply as he practiced relentlessly. On day 7, his growth was evident through focused training and upgrades. Cross had cleared the training area. Another incense bag was tossed to summon more foes, but nothing came until the ground suddenly trembled underfoot. A massive creature appeared, a bulbous, far larger than expected. Its presence alone had driven lesser monsters away, freezing the group in cautious disbelief. Instructed to fight with magic only, Cross was ordered to aim for its heads. Fearful yet focused, he prepared to test everything he'd learned. Cross charged, but the Bulborous moved too fast. Before he could react, the massive beast lunged, jaws wide, and swallowed him in a single bite. Shock rippled through the group. Ryudomira watched in silence as the beast loomed. Inside, Cross stirred, magic building. Suddenly, a burst of wind erupted outward. Cross exploded from within, injuring the beast. Bloodied but focused, he gasped for breath, determined to finish the fight with 2 monstrous heads remaining. Cross struggled to recall a past incantation. His mentor urged him to analyze the entire beast, not just its fangs, and focus on movement. Dodging swiftly, Cross searched for a weak spot. Remembering his training, he used wind magic to launch himself, turning evasion into a powerful counterattack. His shot hit and a head collapsed, but it regenerated quickly. He learned he must destroy all 3 simultaneously to end the beast for good. Cross launched a final strike before collapsing from exhaustion. Ryudomira caught him mid-fall, ending the session and praising his efforts with a rare, gentle tone. The following morning, they traveled to a peaceful forest. Ryudomira revealed she found the spot for his quiet reflection, knowing rest was part of growth. While reading, Cross asked why she supported him so much. Ryudomira admitted she once left her homeland and chose this path to guide him instead. Ryudomira revealed her loneliness and desire for purpose. Her reason for mentoring Cross wasn't duty, it was her own choice, born from isolation and hope. She reassured Cross with calm sincerity, then encouraged him to move forward. The quiet moment ended, and the intensity of battle returned immediately after. Back in combat, Cross aimed for a decisive blow. He planned to strike all heads at once, his magic and will focused into one final shot. Cross unleashed his strongest wind shot yet, compressing everything into a precise swirling blast. It struck the beast with force, testing all he had learned. The attack landed but wasn't enough. Cross dropped back, exhausted. His mentors observed calmly, seeing his progress even if the victory remained just out of reach. A ferocious beast erupted from the snow, targeting Cross with relentless fury. He dodged swiftly, surprised by the monster's rapid recovery and brutal strength despite injuries. As the beast lunged again, Turdemia crushed it mid-attack. Cross panted beside her, frustrated by his limits. The group paused, recognizing the toll on his body. Despite limited days left, the mentors insisted on rest. Recovery, they said, was vital. Still, one suggested light training, eyes gleaming with a teasing challenge. Cross took on household tasks, learning wind magic control through chores. Balancing magic and movement proved tough, but he remained focused on improving, despite frequent messes. After a dish-shattering accident, Cross collapsed on the bed, exhausted. Though praised, he felt unfinished. Determined, he slipped out, seeking a quiet place to practice more. Alone beneath moonlight, he trained gently, splashing water and stirring breezes. At peace, he smiled, knowing tomorrow brought more challenges. But tonight, he'd earned his rest. While drowsy, Cross lost control of wind magic, sending laundry flying. He scrambled to catch garments, realizing the task made excellent magical coordination practice. A sudden mishap left him tangled with underwear mid-collision. Misunderstandings followed. Screams echoed as everyone misjudged the awkward scene, mistaking his training for something indecent. Embarrassment spread. One mentor hit her face, another scolded. Though he meant well, Cross had clearly overdone it. Everyone hoped he'd finally learn restraint. With the duel approaching, Cross prepared to defeat Bulborous. His mentors pushed him to refine both magic casting speed and practical movement in combat. Unsure of himself, Cross listened as his mentor revealed a new approach. He didn't need stronger spells. He needed sharper wind control to fight smart. Trusting their guidance, Cross launched forward. His refined magic boosted his agility. With fierce resolve, he faced the monstrous beast, confident in his focused technique. Cross unleashed a new wind spell, graceful leap, launching high. His movement stunned the beast, buying precious seconds with each agile, controlled burst of air. Circling swiftly, Cross kept ahead of the monster's strikes. His momentum increased, not from strength, but refined control. His speed and precision reshaped the battlefield. With each leap, he shifted direction mid-air, dodging lethal blows. The attack wasn't about force, but positioning, timing, and control, turning movement itself into a deadly advantage. Using wind-enhanced mobility, Cross dashed past one head's defense. Spotting a blind spot, he angled toward the remaining 2, ready to strike in sync. He launched a wind shot while avoiding a tail swipe. Realization struck, each head acted independently, forcing him to fight like an entire adventurer team. Understanding dawned, this wasn't just training, it was a simulated duel. If he couldn't win here, he'd never stand a chance in the real one. Cross unleashed a fierce burst of wind, pushing the beast back, But one head began regenerating, threatening to erase all the progress he'd made. With exhaustion mounting, Cross refused to fall. He charged again, caught in the storm. Pain surged, but he clung to the thought. Just one more hit. As power surged through him, his magic shifted. His chant changed. Observers noticed. His stats climbed fast, unlocking strength drawn from resolve, desperation, and raw instinct. Cross forced all his strength into one final strike, piercing through the beast's core. The impact shook the battlefield as his allies watched, breath held. Meanwhile, others trained at the orphanage grounds. They noted Cross's absence, concerned. The duel neared, yet no one had seen him return to practice. Some speculated about his secret regimen. His mysterious training pace and solo focus sparked curiosity, while the group resolved to sharpen their own skills quickly. Cross returned to the training grounds with a smile, greeted by surprise and concern. Despite everything, his cheerful demeanor reassured the others around him. His mentors watched from afar, confident in his growth. Cross felt at ease, knowing their guidance shaped his strength as the final challenge approached. The duel day arrived with heavy air. Cross stood behind the masters, his resolve unshaken. Their plan was set. The enemy waited calmly ahead. The team advanced together, eyes locked on the opposing side. Each step forward confirmed their unity. Tension grew as both sides prepared for confrontation. Silent stares measured strength and resolve. The rival group exuded confidence. Cross tightened his grip. The outcome depended not just on power but on belief. The enemy mocked from a distance. Cross listened closely as intel on the opposing trio was shared: strong, experienced, and older. Pressure began tightening around him. Their levels dwarfed his. Cross felt the gap, but the team held firm. Rules were announced. The duel wasn't just strength, it was strategy and survival. The forest arena stood ready. Tarot cards would track fate. One mistake meant removal. Cross clenched his fists. Their plan had to work flawlessly now. The rules shifted brutally: annihilation battle. Panic rose among Cross's group. The stakes were no longer honor, they were total defeat under a rigged, time-bound setup. Frustration erupted. They realized the nobles had engineered this to humiliate them. Still, Cross's team accepted the challenge, prepared to defy expectations and schemes. As the nobles laughed mockingly, Cross's team headed to position. Doubts lingered, but hope clung to Giselle's unknown skill, their last hidden edge in battle. The nobles remained smug, convinced of their power. With both teams positioned, the signal fired. The battle began, and tension filled the open forest. Catlia's team quickly located Cross's group and launched an explosive spell. The forest shook. They moved confidently, believing the duel was already won. Laughter followed the attack, but unease grew. Something felt wrong. Catlia's sensory magic failed, an unexpected disruption, hinting that Team Orphanage had a hidden strategy unfolding. Cross's team triggered the trap. Giselle's robbery magic disrupted the enemy's offense. Cross dashed forward as explosions flipped panic back toward the arrogant nobles. Catlia's magic rebounded unexpectedly. Smoke and shock filled the forest. Her team scrambled, unable to understand what went wrong. The momentum had shifted dangerously. Pavlov collapsed, his card blackened, eliminated. Their healer was down. Real fear struck Catlia's team. Giselle's hidden skill had changed everything. The battle was no longer one-sided. Regrouping quickly, the nobles attempted to stabilize. Potions were consumed, strategies adjusted. Cross pressed forward, energized by success and determined to strike the next blow. Cross sprinted through the battlefield, silently advancing. The enemies were unsettled, expecting retaliation. He closed in fast, readying his role in their counter-offensive strike. He chanted his spell calmly. Wind gathered around him, controlled and precise. This was his moment to unleash a decisive attack born from careful preparation. Memories of the night before surfaced: nervous thoughts, calming encouragement, and the pressure of facing high-level enemies. Cross remembered every word as the battle unfolded. With determination, Cross finished his chant. Power surged. His master's voice echoed in his mind, pride and hope tied to the apprentice she had shaped. 3 sharp lances of wind tore forward. The spell was released, precise, controlled, devastating. Cross's answer to overwhelming odds had finally been set in motion. Cross's team struck fast. The nobles barely reacted before wind tore through their line. Screams followed as power and surprise shattered their early confidence. Stunned by the force, they scrambled. Some fell, others watched in disbelief. None expected magic from a team ranked far below their own. Panic forced them to split. Commands flew as blades and boots rushed deeper into the woods. But fear shadowed every step they took forward. Cross evaded the enemy strike with a sudden leap. He closed the distance, locking eyes with his target. This was the moment to act. He seized her, but a blade intercepted. Sparks flew as steel clashed. Cross turned. Darius had arrived, eyes blazing, ready to crush the unexpected threat. Cross descended mid-battle, surprising everyone with his timing. His attack was swift but ineffective, blocked cleanly by a massive warrior's blade. The clash had begun. Katlia mocked the attempt, calling it a weak distraction. Darius responded with force, unleashing a crushing blow that launched the attacker back through the air. Cross hit the ground hard. The enemies regrouped, protecting their leader. Despite the overwhelming strength, determination filled Cross's eyes as another warrior prepared to engage. Despite having no class, Cross fought with alarming precision and strength. The enemy panicked, realizing they couldn't afford to ignore him any longer. Cross dodged and struck with agility, avoiding attacks with swift maneuvers. His movement disrupted the formation, exposing the knight's slowness against unpredictable footwork. The orphans charged from behind, timing perfect. Cross's distraction worked. Katlia's allies began to retreat, realizing their advantage was slipping as backup finally arrived. Darius ordered Pavlov to retreat while he faced Cross alone. Cross dodged swiftly, drawing Darius's focus with rapid movement. The chase intensified under rising tension. Cross struck fast but was thrown back by Darius's counter. Wounded but alert, he urged allies to regroup quickly before the enemy reformed their ranks. The orphans prepared to move. Cross stood firm, naming himself to the enemy. The next phase began, one warrior against another beneath a silent sky. Cross launched into action, pushing forward with aggressive strikes. Darius activated defensive techniques, reinforcing his stance. The gap between them narrowed with each clashing step. Their blades collided with force. Cross's strike was parried, and he narrowly evaded a crushing counter. Instinctively, he rolled back to regain distance and composure. Amid the dust, Cross scanned the field. Guidance echoed in memory. Darius likely relied on a single overwhelming strike. Knowing this, he prepared a response. Cross unleashed his technique, Boulder Crush, smashing the terrain with explosive force. Dust clouded the battlefield. His power surged, revealing his growing strength to friend and foe. The enemy surged forward, shouting threats as they advanced. Despite fear, the orphans didn't falter. Their screams mixed with battle cries echoed across the slope. Magic spells collided in the air. Pavlov hesitated under pressure. Their formation weakened. Injured, outnumbered, and exhausted, their enemy began to panic under relentless assault. The enemy forces, frustrated by their failed attacks, scattered into the forest. Katlia's group regrouped cautiously, uncertain of their opponent's next move or location. Suspicious of the silence, the team halted. Their enemies had split up, possibly to flank them. Tension grew. Something deeper was forming in the forest. A massive tremor shook the ground. Eyes widened as a colossal object descended from above. Their formation froze, unprepared for the ambush now unfolding. As the ambush struck, Katlia's forces countered with magic. One tried to steal abilities, but something resisted. The enemy held unexpected tricks up their sleeves. Explosions shattered the ground, scattering bodies. Dust clouded the aftermath. Survivors rose slowly, confused and bruised, checking on allies buried under fallen debris. Katlia's team regrouped. The magic theft failed. They realized the enemy exploited a loophole. Shock set in. Despite their attack, the enemy remained unharmed. Confident after analyzing the limits of their enemy's abilities, Katlia's group adjusted their tactics, aiming to overwhelm Giselle with coordinated multi-directional magical assaults. Spells launched from three sides. Giselle responded with robbery magic, but the barrage pressed in quickly. Rocks exploded as another wave struck near her. Giselle stood firm but tired. Her magic was running low, and countering every spell drained her strength. She hoped Cross would arrive in time. Darius stood above the clouded battlefield, watching the aftermath. Though the card remained unchanged, something within stirred. He sensed the decisive moment was approaching fast. Cross arrived, sword raised, resolve clear. The tension peaked as he faced Darius again. Their final clash loomed, and neither planned to step back. Cross was launched through the air by the force of his opponent's strike, barely reacting before slamming into the ground with stunned disbelief. Rising with grit, he steadied himself against the pain. His opponent surged again, forcing Cross to dodge while enduring each heavy blow without hesitation. As the battlefield shook from magic and steel, Cross countered with instinct. He rushed forward, defying pressure, seeking an opening to shift the momentum. Cross narrowly evaded the crushing strike, landing just beyond its reach. He turned swiftly, counterattacking with a precise slash to disrupt the beast's rhythm. Blows collided again. Cross stumbled, breathing heavily. He began understanding the foe's tactics. Its skill wasn't just brute strength, but a clever reaction-based trap. Realization dawned. This was no mindless monster, but a battle-hardened warrior. Cross braced himself, now respecting the true threat standing before him. Cross steadied himself, guilt and failure fueling his resolve. He prepared a spell, vowing to prove his worth through determination rather than regret. Charging forward, Cross combined magic with physical might. He targeted the beast's vulnerable point, drawing its focus while risking a counter with absolute trust. The warrior read his intent, initiating another crushing technique. Cross recognized the setup, heart pounding but committed fully, knowing the next clash was decisive. Cross launched his counter, catching the warrior mid-attack. The force knocked his foe off balance, the impact echoing across the broken battlefield. As the enemy staggered, realization struck it wasn't reckless magic. Cross had used the chant as bait, masking his strategy behind calculated misdirection. With momentum on his side, Cross unleashed a tri-blast spell. The compressed wind surged forward, tearing through defenses, silencing all doubt in his strength. The spell unleashed a massive torrent of energy. The blast engulfed the terrain, sending the warrior flying as the battlefield trembled beneath them. Cross knelt, gasping for air, surrounded by dust and silence. He stared forward, heart pounding, unsure whether his final strike had succeeded. His relief turned to dread. From the smoke emerged the enemy, wounded yet standing, defiance in his eyes, armor scorched but unbroken. Cross stood frozen, body refusing to move. The knight approached, slow and steady, despite suffering countless wounds during the battle. Recognizing the body tag's color, Cross understood the knight was defeated, but still upright from sheer will. Relief and disbelief crossed his face. With victory finally his, Cross staggered onward. He had to regroup quickly, knowing his allies still faced threats across the battlefield. Giselle launched her attack without hesitation, blasting the terrain. Her magic carved paths through rubble, pinning the enemies with relentless, aggressive precision. Overwhelmed by pressure, the enemies scattered. Giselle pressed forward, combining magic with calculated dominance. Her spell barrage left no room for counterattack or retreat. Coordinated support amplified the assault. An unseen ranger relayed positions, directing magical fire from 3 angles. The enemy's formation faltered under the calculated, unrelenting pressure. Their mana was depleting, the enemy pressure relentless. Desperation set in as Giselle realized holding the line was their only remaining option. Encouragement sparked among the group. Though overwhelmed, they steadied themselves, reaffirmed resolve, and prepared to buy time until Cross returned to shift the balance. Coordinated spells rained down, orders flowed efficiently. While magic roared across the battlefield, a lone ranger repositioned, maintaining momentum without drawing enemy suspicion. A redirected boulder hurtled back, catching everyone off guard. Chaos erupted as allies clung together, bracing for impact while panic spread among the ranks. A massive blast shook the forest as Cross stared ahead. Debris scattered wildly, burying 2 attackers in stone. Smoke clouded the crater's destructive aftermath. Their bodies lay motionless among rubble. The enemy mocked their failure, unaware the collapse was staged. Cross and his ally had baited the ambush deliberately. Rising with weapons drawn, the pair charged. Their ambusher froze, too late to react. Deception had turned the trap. The real counterattack had begun. Cross revealed extra tags, throwing the enemy into confusion. His calm words masked determination. Beside him, his ally readied a counterattack without hesitation. Far behind the tree line, allies regrouped. A controlled landing confirmed their survival. With timing perfect, a fierce warrior charged forward to break the enemy's focus. The enemy's coordination faltered. Confused by sudden silence and missing signals, their formation broke. Cross's side moved fast, exploiting the chaos before orders could reform. The group reappeared, flanking the startled enemy. Their unexpected arrival turned momentum. Every step they took closed the distance between advantage and absolute control. The nobles' forces crumbled. What once looked like dominance dissolved into panic. They had underestimated their opponent's coordination, and now faced the sharp edge of reversal. With stolen spells and perfect timing, their plan overwhelmed the enemy. Victory no longer felt lucky, it was earned through cunning, grit, and unshakable teamwork. As retreat was ordered, the enemy launched a desperate chase. With enhanced speed, a swordsman charged forward, aiming to cut off their escape. The attacker unleashed a precise thrust, scattering defenders. His technique, sharp and disciplined, shattered the front line momentarily, forcing a brief but costly fallback. Reinforcements arrived, and momentum shifted again. The enemy's confidence returned with Darius, vowing retaliation. But their enemies no longer feared titles they fought to win. Just as defeat loomed, a new ally emerged from the mist, surprising everyone. His arrival shifted morale instantly, cutting through fear with his calm presence. The enemy froze, recognizing the one who felled Darius. Disbelief spread. A mere classless warrior stood, sword drawn, wrapped in wind and quiet certainty. As panic spread, soldiers scrambled. One fell protecting his charge. The enemy leader struck with fury, leaving no room for escape or hesitation. As the enemy threatened to end it swiftly, the young warrior began chanting. His composure remained unshaken even as the enemy rushed in full force. Wind magic surged forward, but the knight pierced through it. His speed outmatched the spell's reach, forcing the caster into a dangerous close-range duel. Realization struck the enemy knight was too fast to trap. A counterspell was unleashed, forcing a hasty adjustment. Allies prepared to strike at the opening. The enemy lunged with a final blow, but was met head-on. The young warrior countered instantly, redirecting the force with precision and raw instinct. Blades clashed mid-air. Energy surged. In a stunning reversal, the counter was countered. One final strike connected, toppling the knight and silencing the battlefield. Cheers erupted as the knight fell. Exhausted yet standing, the victor became the group's symbol of hope, proving that courage could overcome status. Cattleya stumbled through the forest, furious and filthy. Her plan crumbled, blame shifting to others. Despite her fear, she clung to superiority and kept moving. Surrounded and cornered, her bravado faded. The victors closed in, calm but unyielding. What remained of her pride began to unravel under their quiet threat. Punishment followed swiftly. Steel clashed, ground shook. Cattleya collapsed, overwhelmed by relentless strikes, her will broken before any final blow could be delivered. The match concluded. Victory belonged to the orphans. Their cheers echoed through the forest, while the defeated accepted loss in silence, pride thoroughly dismantled. Cattleya woke beneath the tree, disoriented. Before her stood Darius, victorious. The orphans had won. The nobles were defeated. Her pride shattered in silence. Shock turned to panic as Cattleya demanded answers. Her subordinates trembled, failing to justify their loss. Tempers flared. Accusations rose. Embarrassment eclipsed their noble composure. As the defeated nobles collapsed into arguments, Cross and his team departed calmly. The tension behind them exploded. A scream echoed. Cross paused, confused by the noise. Cross stood quietly as nobles bowed in defeat. Darius acknowledged him. Mutual respect passed silently. The orphans watched, their victory now marked by earned dignity. Cattleya rose, emotions hidden behind firm resolve. Her followers, despite shame, pledged loyalty. The wound of defeat lingered, but their pride pushed them forward together. The group returned to the academy. Cross stepped onto familiar ground. Time felt distant. Awaiting him were familiar faces, unaware of the storm just past. Cross returned to cheers and praise. His mentors embraced him with pride. The academy echoed with warmth. He declared his return, stronger than ever before. Training resumed with fierce energy. Cross unleashed powerful magic alongside his team. Monsters scattered as precision and teamwork flowed. Their unity made the battlefield theirs. At the contest's conclusion, Cross's party was summoned. Recognition followed their results. Cross stood proud but anxious, unaccustomed to glory. The crowd's gaze weighed heavily. Giselle's team ranked fourth, drawing cheers. Cross reflected on the absence of Cattleya. Their efforts had paid off, yet her absence lingered in his thoughts. Cross received his prize, overwhelmed by its value. His friends celebrated, but he slipped away quietly, already planning how to honor those who trained him. He walked through town, clutching a package. The gift was secured. Cross hoped his masters would approve, his quiet resolve echoing under the evening sky. Cross was caught off guard by Lyudmila. Her sudden presence startled him. She greeted him warmly, unaware he was preparing a surprise meant for her. Walking together, they reflected on his progress. Cross acknowledged his companion's support, the prize, and their shared growth. Gratitude filled his voice as he spoke. Lyudmila revealed her true intent. Her training had always aimed to empower him against nobles. Cross stood silent, then smiled, accepting her respect with pride. Cross hesitated, then offered the gift he bought. His voice trembled. Though unsure of its worth, he simply wanted to show his honest gratitude. Lyudmila paused, surprised. Her expression softened as she accepted the gift. For her, Cross's sincerity meant more than any reward. Her eyes welled quietly. Before emotions settled, the others burst in. Hugs and teasing overwhelmed Cross. Their bond felt stronger than ever, chaotic, warm and real in every embrace. Another master accepted Cross's gift, flustered and proud. The moment soured as jealous claims flared. Tension exploded. Rivalry over Cross now boiled to the surface. Cross panicked as the argument intensified. The air grew heavy. He pleaded for peace, offering to buy more gifts. Their eyes glowed with fury. The night ended in chaos. Cross sat exhausted amid food and packages. Laughter echoed. Even conflict, it seemed, became celebration in their strange family. Under the moonlight, Cross finally rested. His masters watched in silence, acknowledging his growth. The boy they trained was changing faster than they expected. They reviewed his status report. Despite a 0 in every base stat, his skills told another story. Training had transformed him beyond normal comprehension. Cross's hidden potential left them speechless. Though unorthodox, his growth was undeniable. Pride filled their hearts, each master silently committed to forging him even stronger. Cross stood alone, reflecting on the journey behind him. He acknowledged his friend's help, but his eyes stayed fixed on a goal far ahead. Refusing rest, Cross joined training without hesitation. Determined steps followed his mentor's lead. He chose growth, not comfort, ready to face the path forward. Guests gathered at the grand hall, whispering curiosity. A noble girl stepped inside, drawing eyes with her calm poise and unfamiliar yet striking presence. Under the brilliant light, she walked between imposing figures. Her confidence silenced the room. Nobles stared in awe, recognizing the strength that followed her presence. Whispers grew into admiration. Her past achievements were recalled. At only 16, Alicia commanded respect not with words, but with her earned and evident power. The grand hall buzzed with veiled intentions. Nobles exchanged glances, knowing the heirs of power had all gathered under one splendid roof tonight. Behind the laughter, tension brewed. Competing families surveyed one another carefully. Alicia stayed composed, sensing that this gathering marked the beginning of political warfare. Gimlet Waldria stepped forward, introducing himself with practiced charm. His presence signaled the Disgrave family's move. Alicia responded calmly, already preparing for what came next. Late at night, Alicia sensed unease. A chill ran through her body, warning of looming change. Somewhere else, the next phase quietly began. Far from the ballroom, steel clashed. Cross trained relentlessly under expert supervision, pushing limits. Techniques grew sharper, instincts faster. The training had become brutally real. Sweat dripped as Cross endured the pressure. His opponent's strength surged, but he held firm, refusing to retreat. The battle carved skill deep into him. Cross released a powerful magic strike under pressure. With precise form and resolve, he launched triple wind lance, tearing through the air like sharpened force. The whirlwind carved deep into the earth. Dust settled slowly. Cross gasped for breath while his mentor nodded, recognizing growth forged by hardship and repetition. Praises followed. His form had matured, both magical and martial. Alicia watched from afar, quietly pleased with his progress and the strength it now reflected. With Cross's progress clear, Alicia summoned Rayon for a demonstration. Cross watched in awe as two elite adventurers prepared to showcase real combat skill. The duel began with sharp movement and focused eyes. Alicia explained with calm clarity, showing magic could be elegant, precise, and devastating when applied wisely. They clashed fiercely. Alicia's speed met Rayon's power. Their strikes blended discipline with flair, each blow teaching Cross more than words ever could convey. The duel intensified. Alicia soared and struck with flawless control. Her movements, supported by wind magic, combined agility and power into efficient, close-range domination. Cross absorbed every detail. Alicia explained the battle's practicality. He realized strength required more than spells. It demanded flexible skill sets and precise combat intuition. Later, Cross reflected on his progress. Once weak, he now possessed skills once out of reach. His growth was the result of tireless training and guidance. Catalea snapped under pressure, frustrated by the imbalance in training time. Her emotions erupted, accusing others of monopolizing Cross's growth unfairly and without coordination. Voices clashed as arguments turned chaotic. But concern for Cross's safety united them. Agreement formed he needed healing abilities to survive future solitary combat. With newfound resolve, they embraced their next mission: teach Cross recovery magic. Amid chaos and affection, the halls whispered of secrets waiting beneath. In a shadowed chamber, Gimlet condemned his cousin's failure. The loss to Cross sparked fury, staining their family name with public embarrassment and scrutiny. Catalea begged desperately as punishment loomed. Her cries echoed across stone walls. The weight of noble pride crushed any mercy beneath its heavy expectations. Sword drawn, Gimlet stepped forward coldly. Bloodline couldn't protect her. She was warned, family or not, dishonor had consequences. The order was clear: prepare for pain. Gimlet issued quiet orders behind closed doors. He demanded investigation into the orphans, focusing especially on the classless boy said to have defeated Catalea. Eyes turned toward Cross, unaware of the growing threat. He remained surrounded by his mentors, their attention and affection hiding the dangers now circling him. Cross was assigned to a new training schedule under a mage mentor. Tension rose as the women clashed over authority, each protecting their methods. His first lesson began awkwardly. Close contact training shocked him. The mage's assertive approach triggered chaos, stirring heated reactions from the surrounding master observers. While pain and panic filled his face, the lesson continued. Magic theory was taught firmly. Despite complaints, the method proved efficient even if embarrassingly unconventional. Cross struggled with the awkward training. Telemea insisted on contact-based magic focus, claiming it essential. Despite his discomfort, she remained calm and methodical. Tensions escalated as others observed. Telemea defended her methods confidently. Arguments over who had training rights sparked, with each mentor voicing strong justification. Rival mentors challenged Telemea's authority. Insults flew, tempers rose. The competition to train Cross intensified, each woman refusing to back down or share him. Exhausted from intense training, Cross slumped over his desk. Classmates noticed his fatigue, and one suggested a break outside to clear his mind. He followed her to the local arms shop. The walk helped ease tension. The shop, though modest, impressed them with its quality and variety. Inside they met Giselle, a familiar blacksmith with a strong presence. She welcomed them warmly, teasing about their group's size and past visits. Cross introduced himself to Giselle, who quickly warmed up to him. She agreed to help him choose a weapon suitable for his coming training. They explained the weapon was for a combat festival. Giselle highlighted the event's difficulty, prompting them to take preparations seriously to avoid humiliation. Cross hesitated while selecting a weapon, trusting his companion's judgment. After some thought, he picked a sword that felt right for both use and style. Cross happily thanked Giselle, feeling confident in his sword choice. His enthusiasm impressed the others, who quietly acknowledged his growing potential and sincerity. Before leaving, Giselle insisted he learn basic maintenance. She demonstrated sword polishing, explaining its importance in preserving durability, even without specialized blacksmithing skills. Cross mimicked her technique. To everyone's surprise, sparks flared, signaling a skill acquisition. Giselle stared, stunned, as Cross unintentionally unlocked a professional-grade weapon skill. Cross discovered he gained multiple new skills unexpectedly. Giselle was impressed and immediately offered to mentor him, but Cross hesitated despite appreciating the praise. Overwhelmed, Cross reflected on his situation. He acknowledged his rapid progress, attributing it to the chaotic yet effective training from his powerful mentors. Later, discussion turned to the combat festival. Everyone encouraged participation. The mentors jokingly saw it as a perfect chance to test and train Cross further. Cross rushed to join the others. The streets buzzed with excitement as the crowd gathered for the grand opening of the combat festival. Spectators filled the massive arena. Competitors and guests stood by. Anticipation surged as loudspeakers signaled the official start of the long-awaited event. Magical displays lit the sky, stirring awe across the arena. All attention shifted to the stage as the host introduced the special guest speaker. The crowd roared as the host introduced Alicia, a descendant of a hero. Excitement surged while all eyes turned toward the ceremonial stage. Alicia stepped forward under the lights. Cross watched in awe, struck by her commanding presence. His peers admired her elegance and undeniable skill. Cross recognized her but sensed something had changed. As she spoke, his unease grew. Their previous encounter lingered quietly in his mind. Long ago, the world neared destruction until a hero emerged and sealed the demon. That legacy shaped generations, guiding humanity toward strength and preparation against future threats. Alicia, the current hero's descendant, announces the trials to identify the next protector. The crowd stirs with hope, ambition, and dreams of proving their worth. As the festival begins, excitement surges through the crowd. Alicia watches calmly, silently resolved to find someone who can endure everything that lies ahead. Cross spotted Alicia among the crowd. Her glance froze him. Excitement and confusion spread, as others claimed she smiled or waved at them instead. Cross panicked when others misunderstood her reaction. A friend grabbed him, teasing. Alicia, surprised, realized she'd drawn attention, stirring rumors of a special connection. The arena roared with combat as participants clashed. Cross's nerves flared. With the hero's gaze lingering, pressure mounted to prove his strength among contenders. Priests tended to the injured as the arena erupted in chaos. Giselle, fierce and confident, declared open challenge. Cross hesitated, overwhelmed by the scene. Unsure how to begin, Cross asked for guidance. Around him, battles intensified. Encouraged, he considered stepping forward, uncertain but curious about testing his strength. A towering dwarf dominated the ring, defeating challengers easily. The crowd roared. Cross watched, realizing the true scale of power he'd soon face. The dwarf recognized Cross from the ceremony and mocked his reputation. Curious but cautious, he issued a challenge, provoking attention from those nearby. Cross nervously accepted, openly admitting inexperience. The dwarf agreed, promising restraint. Spectators gathered, surprised a low-ranked boy dared challenge someone so vastly above him. The match began with a roaring crowd. Doubts stirred among the onlookers, questioning Cross's resolve against a seasoned warrior many levels stronger. Cross steadied his nerves. Though once timid, something inside him shifted. Facing the dwarf, he no longer hesitated, he was eager to test himself. The dwarf roared and charged, unleashing a heavy warrior's skill. Spectators recognized the tactic. Cross sensed the moment, timing his move with measured precision. Cross lunged forward, reacting swiftly. The pressure was immense, but compared to Rion's intensity, it felt manageable. He refused to back down. Cross moved fast, surprising the dwarf. Their eyes locked. The crowd fell silent as tension rose. Cross prepared to strike with everything he'd learned. Shouting his intent, Cross launched forward. Both fighters activated buffs, strength, defense, and weapons enhanced. Their clash shook the arena, force meeting force without restraint. Blades collided as Cross dodged and countered. The dwarf attacked with heavy swings. Cross stayed sharp, weaving between strikes and looking for an opening. Cross moved lightly, almost gliding across the field. Recalling Rion's training, he adjusted his stance. His body followed instinct, matching the dwarf's fierce tempo. Channeling precision, Cross vanished mid-motion. The dwarf misread the strike. Spectators gasped as Cross reappeared mid-air, ready to turn the tide with perfect timing. Cross descended from above, weapon drawn, eyes sharp. The dwarf finally noticed too late. The crowd held its breath, stunned by the reversal. Cross's upward strike landed perfectly, sending the dwarf crashing. The arena shattered beneath them as onlookers froze, stunned by the classless boy's finishing move. The crowd buzzed in disbelief. Healers rushed over. The dwarf, bruised but smiling, praised Cross. Others questioned his strength, unsure how such power was possible. Cross stood quietly, absorbing it all. The dwarf offered respect. A memory surfaced: fighting should be fun. Without noticing, Cross had already taken his first step. As Cross celebrated, a shadowy figure observed him quietly. She smiled with interest, whispering plans. Somewhere distant, a name, Gimlet, was mentioned with quiet certainty. Cross entered the arena and defeated opponents in rapid succession. Observers were stunned by his momentum, impressed by his dominance despite being labeled classless. While Cross continued fighting, his mentors watched from above, analyzing his growth. They agreed the ongoing challenges served as valuable combat experience for his advancement. After the matches, Cross regrouped with his allies. He received praise, supplies, and updates, confirming their efforts were working. Their plan was progressing steadily forward. Cross revealed his newly learned healing ability, shocking everyone. Despite the awkward delivery, his skill proved effective, offering real recovery and surprising his companions. After demonstrating his magic, Cross continued healing others. His teammates, once hesitant, now welcomed the support. He calmly managed injuries, earning trust through steady effort. The crowd's applause confirmed their performance stood out. Cross and Giselle were recognized by name, no longer seen as beginners, but promising talents with potential. Cross and his team received praise from powerful nobles. Their abilities surprised many, drawing attention from influential figures interested in their rapid growth and potential. Two faction heirs formally introduced themselves and immediately competed to recruit Cross's group. The situation quickly escalated into political tension between rival noble families. Cross stood quietly as nobles argued over him. He realized this was a chance to restore his group's reputation and gain a foothold in society. As factions fought to recruit them, Cross's team hesitated. For them, choosing sides wasn't political, it meant survival, identity, and irreversible consequences in a divided world. Giselle explained the faction's history and the real danger of poor alliances. Cross realized neutrality wasn't easy, but diplomacy could earn safety for their group. Before decisions could settle, a powerful bishop appeared, stunning the crowd. His unexpected presence hinted at deeper stakes and drew everyone's attention toward Cross's group. A noble named Gimlet Waldrea appeared, stunning everyone. As the Disgrave family's fourth son, his presence shifted the atmosphere into one of immediate tension. Gimlet addressed Cross directly, confirming rumors of his classless status and battle victory. He asked a bold question, shocking everyone with a sudden offer. Though acknowledging personal resentment, Gimlet proposed recruitment. He promised fair treatment for Cross and his allies, despite internal conflict over accepting someone with no official class. Cross faced pressure as Gimlet pushed for an answer. Giselle's protest was ignored. The crowd watched closely, unsure how the classless fighter would respond. Cross hesitated, recalling Gimlet's treatment of Giselle. Though offered status and safety, doubt grew. He struggled to trust someone from such an unforgiving faction. Gimlet promised protection and even domination over Catalea. Despite tempting terms, Cross sensed hidden motives and remained uncertain, wary of accepting such powerful backing. Despite Gimlet's extreme offers, Cross stood firm. He rejected the idea of vengeance or subordination, declaring his refusal in front of the entire gathering. Whispers spread through the crowd. Some saw courage, others insanity. Cross calmly restated his stance, refusing to join a faction he could not trust. Gimlet accepted the decision with veiled menace, warning Cross of consequences. Though shaken, Cross remained steady, aware his choice marked a dangerous new path. Before leaving, Gimlet hinted at future offers. Cross, unsettled, watched him go. The next day, the combat festival resumed, pushing new trials into motion. Cross dominated his matches again but noticed chaos brewing. Injured fighters stumbled from the low-level zone. Worry grew as he rushed toward the disturbance. Cross found Giselle gravely wounded beside fallen orphans. Panic and rage surged. This wasn't training anymore. A true threat had attacked while no one watched. Cross tended to Giselle, offering precious medicine. Despite the chaos, he prioritized her safety. Realizing the orphans were targeted, he chose to act immediately. Without hesitation, Cross dashed toward danger. Determined and furious, he ignored warnings, intent on confronting whoever was behind the attack on the defenseless children. Cross collapsed mid-street as panic swept the city. Citizens rushed, alarmed by sudden danger. Meanwhile, his wound mysteriously began healing, raising concern among those nearby. A growing crowd gathered at the colonnade. Suspicion filled the air. Officials hesitated without proof, fearing a political trap that could trigger open conflict. Cross attempted to leave, but guards blocked him. Accusations loomed. He dodged swiftly, aware that any misstep might justify the enemy's plan to crush them. Cross burst through the chamber doors, ignoring warnings. Officials stared as he dashed forward, urgency burning in his eyes. He refused to let politics stall action. He dodged the guard's strike and countered instantly. With eyes set on the nobleman, Cross approached the courtroom, the atmosphere tightening with heavy expectation. Standing tall, Cross raised his voice. Before the assembly, he pointed at Gimlet and issued a formal, public challenge demanding justice through a duel. Cross proposed a high-stakes deal. If he won, the noble would join his faction. The crowd murmured, shocked by his bold demand and reckless courage. Despite the imbalance, Cross stood firm. The noble teased him, amused by the offer. Yet the duel's terms echoed across the court, locking them in. With the room stirred, the noble agreed. A formal duel was set. 10 days remained before Cross would face him. Title, pride, and fate at stake. Cross froze as the noble revealed his class: an advanced speed-based swordsman. The odds shifted instantly, casting serious doubt on Cross's chance of survival. Realizing the gap, Cross panicked. The noble mocked him, comparing him to a past hero. Still, the challenge stood. He had no choice now. Backstage, Giselle scolded him fiercely. Despite her injuries, she berated his recklessness. Cross apologized, fully aware of the dangerous path his pride had chosen. Cross struggled with doubt, knowing he couldn't match the noble's strength. Still, he refused to back down, driven by loyalty and pride. Halui scolded Cross harshly, calling his choice foolish. She warned him of risking death without calculating consequences, both his own and those of others. Despite the harsh words, his mentors praised his resolve. Cross listened quietly, recognizing their support while vowing to face the coming trial with conviction. Cross received encouragement from his mentors. Despite his fears, their confidence and structured training plan gave him renewed focus for the upcoming challenge. His mentors privately debated the risk. Though proud of his progress, they recognized the danger of pitting Cross against elite nobles so soon. Cross's growth had slowed. Despite his training, his stats remained low. 10 days felt far too short to overcome the wide gap in strength. Cross's mentors gathered, discussing options. Training time was too short. They hinted at engineering a delay just enough to shift the odds more favorably. Their plan to exploit an accidental delay began. Under moonlight, laughter echoed. Somewhere, a sudden twist of fate unfolded exactly as they predicted. Cross rushed in with news the duel was postponed. A major road collapse halted school activities, granting them unexpected time to prepare and regroup. With school suspended and roads collapsed, the group gained unexpected time. The break offered a rare chance to train without interruption or academic pressure. Cross's outburst followed a misunderstanding. Accusations flew, frustrations flared. Meanwhile, nobles dismissed the chaos, pretending coincidence. His mentors kept the ruse intact with sharp discipline. Everyone agreed the situation brought opportunity. Training would resume immediately. Though uncertain if it was enough, Cross accepted the moment and readied himself once again. As the storm rumbled above, training resumed. Cross listened carefully as two masters introduced speed-countering techniques to prepare him for the upcoming duel. Telemea claimed her turn. With pride in her apocalyptic class, she revealed a strategy: don't outmatch the enemy, wear them down until they fall. Cross stood quietly as his mentors discussed tactics. Suddenly, a massive shadow swept above. A winged beast descended, breaking the forest silence with deadly intent. A high-level falcon monster emerged, slicing the air at blinding speed. Without hesitation, one mentor launched her technique, shifting the battlefield's pace in seconds. The falcon staggered from the burst. Cross, now supported by enhancements, prepared his sword. The mentors stepped back, giving him the chance to strike. After the battle, Cross faced new training. His mentor emphasized weakening enemy stats. Despite nervousness, he committed to learn every trick they could teach. Tension grew as rival instructors clashed over methods. Cross, caught in their intensity, agreed to all lessons. Combat realism forced him to adapt quickly. A high-speed strike tore the ground near him. Cross barely reacted in time. The drill wasn't just practice, it mimicked real battlefield pressure. The explosive test nearly overwhelmed Cross. His mentor admitted overdoing it. Realizing the danger, she adjusted the training to a more manageable speed. They resumed drills at safer intensity. Cross aimed with precision as orbs darted around him. Another mentor offered a reward: access to a new magic technique. Tension grew as she guided his mana. Hands steady, breath calm. Cross followed each word, awakening latent power that pulsed gently from within. Cross strained under overwhelming mana pressure. Lyudmila pushed him further, guiding his threshold beyond safety. At the brink, she calmly cast healing magic to stabilize him. Breathing hard but alive, Cross absorbed the lesson. She explained the skill's value in fast combat. Mastery meant bypassing chant delay with proper timing. Elsewhere, giant falcons flew across the forest. One sensed something unusual. Its sharp eyes narrowed, reacting to a distant shift in magical energy nearby. Suddenly, talons tore the sky as falcons dropped sharply. Cross watched, puzzled. One monster emerged massive and threatening. The forest's balance had been disturbed again. Faced with the beast, Cross activated his skill. A powerful burst let him evade and counter. The enemy fell, his training's first milestone achieved. His mentors praised the success. Cross had learned speed reduction. As they considered the next phase, a hidden threat remained undetected among the trees. The mentors debated the next training phase. With limited time before the duel, they sought the perfect location for Cross to face real combat. Cross, carrying heavy gear, wandered alone. Though suspicious, he followed orders. Hours passed without conflict, deepening his doubt about the training's true purpose. Without warning, a massive dragon appeared. Cross froze, realizing the creature's overwhelming power. What he thought was simple scouting turned into a deadly encounter. The black dragon lunged, forcing Cross to flee. He ran blindly, his heavy pack dragging behind him as survival instincts kicked in. Heart racing, Cross dodged debris and breath attacks. He shifted direction and leapt toward the forest, hoping the trees would slow the beast. The forest failed to protect him. Pursued relentlessly, Cross stumbled into a cliff's edge. The ground gave way, and he plummeted with no escape. Cross landed hard and came face to face with a humanoid dragon. It spoke clearly: this was no beast, but an intelligent enemy of mankind. The mentors arrived just in time. Their plan had worked. Cross had drawn out a demon-class foe. They praised his unexpected success in provoking it. The dragon, now revealed to be female, panicked. Realizing the setup, she accused them of using Cross as bait to expose her presence. The dragon girl stepped forward, furious at being mocked. She declared herself Solti Bascadia, a demon lord commanding monsters, refusing to be seen as a pretender. Cross stood frozen as the demon lord descended, radiating pressure. Her declaration stunned him, while the others watched in disbelief, uncertain if she was serious. The demon lord's frustration boiled over, criticizing human ignorance. Cross dodged her strikes, barely standing. His doubt grew, unsure if she truly held that terrifying title. The truth unraveled slowly. A complex lineage explained her unstable power. Though she inherited the title, her transformation remained incomplete, leaving her status open to doubt. The others revealed she was controlled, bribed into peace. Though feared, her wrath stayed dormant until the insult shattered restraint she barely held. Roaring with fury, she unleashed devastating power. Her tail crushed rock, her spell split the earth. Cross barely evaded, stunned by her overwhelming destructive strength. As dust swallowed the valley, silence followed. A massive crater replaced the terrain. Cross stared wide-eyed, realizing her power wasn't just real, it was terrifying. Boasting with confidence, the demon lord declared her might. The other masters, unfazed, stepped forward, each ready to counter with overwhelming force of their own. Their techniques collided violently: ice storm, brute strength, sheer destruction. The explosions swallowed mountains, sky, and sound. Cross could only watch, frozen by the raw force. Silence returned as the impact carved a massive crater. Soaked in trembling, Cross realized he'd witnessed power that surpassed any sane adventurer's imagination. After the battle's chaos, peace returned. The demon lord explained their next goal: an isolated training spot within the beast-filled forest, ideal for Cross's growth. Despite his protest, Cross was chosen. The others approved the location's danger and richness. Their plan: throw him into it and push him forward. Standing at the dungeon's entrance, Cross hesitated. The mentors declared his challenge: clear it alone, or fail the next phase against the fearsome Flash Swordswoman. The dungeon pulsed with dark energy. Monsters respawned endlessly unless the core was destroyed. Cross was warned solo entry was forbidden for a reason. Despite the risk, his test began. Only dark magic skills were allowed. Injuries would be his own burden. He accepted, nerves masked behind resolve. Monsters rushed him without mercy. Cross reacted with speed, blade flashing. His strikes held purpose, but the danger grew with each relentless assault. Cross fought through waves of enemies without using magic. His blade kept him alive, but exhaustion slowly crept in as the dungeon refused to end. Reaching a deeper chamber, Cross discovered a strange, unmoving sphere. Suspicious, he approached carefully, unaware it was no mere object, it was waiting for him. The sphere burst into motion, striking Cross before he could react. Caught off guard, he staggered back, blade raised, unsure what he now faced. The creature revealed itself cute but deadly. Known as a spring hopper, its incredible speed and erratic movement tested Cross's reflexes to their limit. Unable to track its motions, Cross struggled to strike. Each miss sharpened his focus. He activated speed skills, determined to turn the odds. Through relentless dodging and adaptation, his skills rapidly improved. Tilomea observed from afar, impressed by his accelerated growth despite the intense difficulty of the challenge. The creature revealed itself cute but deadly. Known as a spring hopper, its incredible speed and erratic movement tested Cross's reflexes to their limit. Unable to track its motions, Cross struggled to strike. Each miss sharpened his focus. He activated speed skills, determined to turn the odds. Through relentless dodging and adaptation, his skills rapidly improved. Tilomea observed from afar, impressed by his accelerated growth despite the intense difficulty of the challenge. Cross faced the creature again, warier now. As he prepared for battle, Tilomea watched quietly, gauging his growth with a knowing expression. The demon lord seized Cross for inspection. Shocked by his progress, she examined him closely, alarming everyone with her aggressive curiosity and unsettling strength. Cross lunged at the monster again, hoping to land a decisive blow. But once more it slipped away, evading him with mocking ease and bouncing back unharmed. Frustrated by constant failures, Cross sat down to a training match. Tilomea watched him closely, silently shifting strategy, trying to test his mental focus instead. Cross grew uneasy under pressure. Tilomea's sudden behavior startled him. With time ticking and tactics unclear, he panicked only to be pinned down by her unorthodox physical move. The creature darted playfully, mocking Cross's confusion. He hesitated, stunned by its cunning. He realized even retreating decisively was another form of calculated strength. A sudden feint forced Cross into action. He dodged wildly as the enemy blitzed forward, triggering reflexes he hadn't fully realized he developed until now. Cross countered with body hardening and swift footwork. The training finally bore fruit, but Telemia's lesson lingered. Strength alone meant little without sharp judgment and resolve. Cross listened as Telemia explained how restraint weakens good people. Her words challenged him to win. Sometimes kindness alone wouldn't be enough in battle. He observed the creature's habits, predicting its next move. With swift precision and no hesitation, Cross struck where it least expected, gaining the upper hand. Harnessing his training, Cross fused technique with strategy. His power surged not out of cruelty, but purpose. The creature fled, and Cross stood, quietly catching his breath. Cross celebrated his victory, realizing he could apply Telemia's teachings with his own judgment. It wasn't just strength, it was growth shaped by effort. Telemia admired his resilience. Cross wasn't born strong, but he learned through hardship and stubborn determination. That unshakable spirit made others want to believe in him. With newfound resolve, Cross resumed training. Surrounded by mentors, he pushed forward. 2 weeks passed, and now his body and will were sharper than ever before. Breathing heavily, Cross climbed the dungeon stairs, surrounded by defeated beasts. He stumbled into a strange chamber, drawn toward a glowing orb sealed within stone. He froze in disbelief. Something about the orb felt familiar. The others caught up, cheering his victory. Cross had cleared the dungeon faster than expected. Telomia examined his status. Growth stats soared: evasion, swordplay, detection. His training bore fruit. The boy who once struggled now stood as a rising warrior. Cross reviewed his skill progress, proud yet aware of the gap ahead. His mentors praised his growth and declared the second training stage complete. Before Cross could react, the orb pulsed with power. The chamber rumbled, signaling the start of the next trial, one far beyond training routines. From the light emerged a towering beast, muscular, menacing, and armed. The dungeon boss had manifested. Now Cross faced a battle that would test everything. Cross faced the towering, soaring fighter, a high-level monster. This wasn't training anymore, this was survival. He prepared to use everything he'd learned up to now. He launched his first strike, but the enemy vanished. A heavy blow struck. Cross staggered, shocked by the sheer speed and strength of the beast. The boss reappeared instantly, overwhelming him. Cross realized he underestimated the creature's mobility. This was a different level he needed to adapt fast or fall. Cross panicked as the monster closed in. He couldn't react in time. The boss raised its claw, and death felt seconds away. Before the blow landed, Telomia intervened. The fight was halted. Cross collapsed in relief, realizing he had been completely outmatched by the dungeon boss's power. Telomia explained calmly, "When power gaps are too wide, strategy fails." Cross needed more than tactics, he needed strength that could keep up with speed. Telomia outlined the final training goal: gain the power to strike first against overwhelming foes. Recovery skills and dungeon experience had prepared Cross for this path. She revealed a forbidden method: vampire tactics from a high-level warrior race. Cross would now learn how to survive using deception, precision, and unorthodox strategies. Telomia encouraged mischievous tactics. Cross, flustered but determined, accepted. He later announced his victory, proud of his growth, even if the means were a bit unexpected. Cross watched the vampires' brutal training method, shocked by their philosophy. They welcomed pain, aiming to absorb enemy attacks and counter with deadly precision. As the technique was explained, Cross grew uneasy. It required deliberate injury to trigger counterattacks, demanding mastery of pain control and precise dark magic timing. Understanding dawned. Vampires used high-speed healing and immortality to strike back immediately, catching foes off guard. Cross realized the danger and potential of their method. Determined to learn the technique, Cross faced enemy strikes, but his body resisted instinctively, failing to absorb attacks, leaving him too slow to counter. Frustrated and wounded, Cross wandered into the forest. Solti appeared, observing his struggle and asking about his progress. Her presence hinted at an unexpected test. Cross admitted understanding the theory but failing in practice. Solti led him toward a new trial, suggesting real danger might unlock his potential at last. Solti cornered Cross, revealing his isolation. Her calm demeanor turned sinister, seizing the chance to act freely without interference from his 3 other mentors. She mocked Cross's current weakness, stating she could do as she pleased. Her playful cruelty hinted at danger disguised beneath her smiling exterior. Declaring herself the Demon King, Solti launched an attack. Cross panicked, realizing this wasn't a lesson, this was a deadly encounter fueled by hidden motives. Cross realized escape was impossible. Solti admitted she misled everyone. Her strength overwhelmed him, crushing hope of victory as panic set deeper in his chest. Salty mocked humanity's weakness, proclaiming demons' resilience. Cross learned she was irreplaceable and feared, the fragile peace held only by her self-imposed restraint. The truth hit Cross hard. Salty held power even the masters feared. Her burning aura rose. She declared punishment, ready to make him an example. A colossal demon lord emerged before Cross. Alone and armed with only a blade, he stood frozen as the beast loomed, radiating unstoppable force. The demon lord attacked. Cross barely evaded, but panic surged. No matter where he moved, death felt certain. He couldn't find a way to survive. Cornered and overwhelmed, Cross heard the demon lord's declaration to erase humanity. Alone he braced himself, accepting that the end might truly be near. Cross remembered those he needed to protect. Determined not to die, he prepared to act, choosing risk over paralysis, facing death to protect others. Realizing evasion wasn't enough, Cross embraced the hit. He launched forward with intent, channeling desperation into action. Eyes focused, body committed to one final move. Mid-air, Cross aimed directly at the demon lord. Surging with courage, he struck, determined to break fate and live not for himself, but for everyone else. Cross's bold strike landed. The demon lord roared in pain, acknowledging the unexpected move. Salty watched calmly, her plan having played out perfectly. Cross collapsed into Salty's arms. She praised his effort, satisfied with the outcome. The battle, it turned out, had been part of his training. The mentors revealed it was a test. Salty had intervened to help Cross break his limits, believing in his strength more than he realized. Cross reflected on his fear and courage. His mentors reminded him that his strength always surfaced when protecting others, not out of personal vengeance. Realizing his true goal, Cross thanked them. He pledged to become someone who protects, not someone driven by revenge, ready to face his path. A week later, Cross returned to battle. This time, healed and composed, he fought with clarity, having reclaimed his purpose and steadied his resolve. Cross charged with determination, vowing to win. He was struck violently, collapsing from the impact. Bloodied and still, his will was tested once again. Despite the pain, Cross smirked. Rising with fierce resolve, he activated his technique, unleashing a burst of speed and strength to turn the tide. Cross collapsed after a fierce strike, bloodied but conscious. His monstrous opponent circled confidently. Observers watched, unsure if he could withstand the overwhelming power alone. As the warriors watched, they recalled his brutal training. The official duel time was set. Cross's battle loomed near, and none expected him unprepared. Having slain the beast, Cross stood silently over the corpse. His mentors watched. Now, they must trust him to face the coming trial alone. Cross barely met the minimum requirement. Despite rapid skill growth, he doubted himself. The challenge ahead demanded mastery beyond numbers. He couldn't afford hesitation now. He stared out at the massive arena, knowing failure wasn't an option. His resolve hardened. He would polish every technique and surpass all expectations alone. Suddenly, chaos struck. A level 5 threat breached the outer perimeter. Soldiers scrambled in panic, unprepared for its unexpected appearance on the city's main road. A massive killer tiger stormed the city streets, sending armed men fleeing. Its terrifying speed and aggression overwhelmed the guards before any defense formed. Among the chaos, a composed noble stepped forward. Disgusted by the retreat, he activated his flash step skill and closed in without hesitation. Enhancing his sword with focused power, he struck fast, but the beast dodged cleanly. He acknowledged its threat, then escalated with phantom speed, precision, and sharper force. With unmatched speed and precision, he unleashed a storm of slashes. The killer tiger fell instantly, overwhelmed by the noble's devastating finishing technique. Standing calmly beside the defeated beast, he issued orders to resume repairs. Around him, stunned civilians stared, awed by his flawless execution. Whispers spread of his age, skill, and secret training. Many doubted him before, but now, everyone wondered if Cross might truly surpass all expectations. Alicia returned from battle, weary and quiet. Despite her rank, the city's unrest unsettled her. Whispers of Cross's duel reached even her guarded chambers. Alone in her room, she reflected on their last meeting. Curiosity grew. The thought of Cross lingered longer than she expected it would. Rumors about Cross and his coming duel spread through town. Alicia couldn't ignore them anymore. Her thoughts kept returning to him, again and again. 3 days passed. Cross stood before the grand arena. Despite nerves, he resolved to give everything, every skill, every lesson, for the fight ahead. He stepped into roaring crowds. Doubters jeered, believers hoped. Cross tightened his grip, knowing this match would decide more than just his reputation. Scanning the stands, he sensed silent support from his masters. With focused steps, Cross approached his opponent, ready to face the trial that awaited. Cross confronted his opponent in the arena. Tension rose as past grudges simmered beneath their formal handshake before the match was officially declared open. The duel's rules were announced. Cross, unaware of the losing penalty, learned he'd become a noble's servant if defeated, an unexpected and serious consequence. The crowd reacted with surprise. Cross stood silently, weighing the cost of failure. No retreat now. The match meant more than just pride or training. The noble masked his intentions with polite speech. Cross sensed something hidden beneath the seemingly merciful conditions, but couldn't fully grasp the true danger yet. Suspicion spread through the audience. Some questioned the leniency. Others, cloaked in shadows, recognized the noble's offer as bait for a darker plan. Rumors confirmed the truth. The noble's twisted habits weren't secret to all. Cross stood unaware, while others feared the outcome more than the match itself. Cross finally realized the true consequences. Fear surged through him. Losing wasn't just defeat, it meant giving up freedom to a noble with sinister intent. Meanwhile, Alicia's distant behavior drew attention. Her thoughts kept returning to Cross, despite her denial. Those close to her began noticing the subtle change. Cross entered the arena under the watchful eyes of his masters, their hidden concerns masked by forced calm. The duel's conditions sparked silent, uneasy schemes. Spectators held their breath as Cross faced his opponent. Tension filled the air. Despite doubt, he stood tall, determined to overcome whatever came at him. At the command, both charged. Cross dodged swiftly, reading his enemy's intent. The duel of destruction had begun, and there was no turning back now. Cross hesitated as his opponent mocked from a distance. The fight became a spectacle, but Cross knew delay only favored the confident, well-prepared enemy ahead. Refusing to wait, Cross activated his boost and dashed forward. His movements, sharpened by training, caught his opponent's eye. Their clash began, fast and fierce. Their blades met repeatedly, each strike exposing growth. Cross's efforts were recognized, but doubts lingered. Power that advanced too fast often hid deeper, dangerous truths. Despite improvements, Cross was still outmatched. His opponent's elite background and discipline overwhelmed brute effort. The skill gap loomed, undeniable and deeply frustrating for Cross. Cross launched wind-based strikes to shift the tide, but they failed to connect. Each attempt was read, countered, dismissed. The enemy stood calm, calculating. Cross combined dust and swordplay to confuse his foe. It bought a moment, but the knight, unfazed, ended the flurry with sharp dismissal and control. Cross lay wounded but conscious. The knight mocked his last hope, unknowingly triggering the very condition Cross's dormant skill required: an enemy's direct, deliberate strike. Sensing the opportunity, Cross steadied himself. The moment the knight lunged, Cross triggered his skill. Energy surged, stance reversed, and a sudden counterattack ignited. In a burst of violent light, their blades clashed. Cross's counter unleashed a flurry of blows, precise, desperate, and overwhelmingly fast, forcing the knight onto defense. Cross's body glowed violently as power burst outward. The counter-strike succeeded, but the force overwhelmed him too, leaving him barely standing, body scorched, breath ragged. The crowd erupted, unsure if they were witnessing a miracle or madness. Cross's strength shocked them, but his opponent remained composed, unmoved by the display. Though Cross stood, the noble knight delayed victory. He chose cruelty over closure, dragging the fight to prove a point and savor every painful moment. Cross's body convulsed in agony as the knight's attack pierced deep. His strength waned, and blood fell, yet his defiance still hadn't fully shattered. Pinned and injured, Cross barely stayed conscious. The knight declared punishment by torture, aiming to erase all disgrace. Cross's battered body trembled, but his resolve stirred. With one final gambit, Cross activated stored magic through his failing arm. The sudden counterattack exploded point blank, his last chance to reverse the tide of battle. Cross released a hidden technique. Dark magic surged, catching his foe off guard. The sudden shift gave him a critical opening to disrupt the noble's rhythm. The spell reduced movement, black mist coiling tightly. The knight stumbled, confused by the weight and speed loss, sensing his overwhelming advantage had started slipping. Panic set in as the knight realized the spell was chantless, advanced, and impossible for a jobless. Cross had defied all logic, and that changed everything. Cross revealed a final trap, a delayed spell cast long before the duel. The knight hesitated, realizing the tide had shifted with a single gamble. Each move Cross made had been planned. The vampire master's teachings echoed: 3 deadly tactics chained together, activated only after enduring brutal pain and exposure. Cross's hidden skills took hold, pain dulled, wounds closed. His master's brutal methods now bore fruit. He could fight longer, harder, ignoring damage until the end. Cross stood firm, pain dulled, movements sharp. The noble's confidence shattered. He recognized the rare class, supreme vampire, layered with skills no commoner should possess. Realization struck. The feared dark arts cleric stood before him. Cross embodied the impossible, wielding forgotten power with brutal efficiency. The match's outcome was now clear. Far away, a demon lord watched, unimpressed. Though uninvolved directly, she had aided behind the scenes and now wanted in on the battles to come. Cross made an unexpected comeback, healing instantly. The crowd was stunned as he stood tall again, eyes sharp, shifting the momentum with renewed strength. His opponent charged, believing it was the final blow, but Cross had calculated everything, baiting the attack, waiting for the exact distance to counter. Dropping the act, Cross activated his skill with confidence. His body surged with power as he faced forward, ready to strike with true intent. Cross unleashed every skill he had mastered, pushing his body to the limit. His shout echoed as he dashed forward with overwhelming determination. He closed the distance rapidly, weapons clashing with Gimlet. Despite a clean hit, Gimlet's agility overwhelmed, slipping through attacks with near-impossible dodges. Cross steadied himself, his focus sharpening. Though Gimlet's movements blurred, his eyes adapted. He could now read the flow, ready to match his speed. Cross acknowledged his speed disadvantage but refused to retreat. He launched a draining curse to slow Gimlet, buying time while forcing him on defense. Gimlet faced a hard choice: block the blade or resist the curse. Cross gave no pause, pressing forward to break his opponent's composure completely. With sharpened instincts, Cross merged offense and affliction. He didn't hesitate. Sword and curse collided as one, his will clear, crush everything standing in his path. Cross targeted Gimlet's core with a precise low kick, halting his spellcasting. It wasn't flashy, but it struck where strategy and timing mattered most. Gimlet staggered in shock, caught off guard by the unexpected move. Cross didn't let up, unleashing another spell mid-charge, layering pressure without pause. Despite the distance, Cross continued chanting while attacking. His technique, once used by legendary fighters, overwhelmed Gimlet, who realized too late he had underestimated his opponent. Cross unleashed Speed Outburst, a dark art variant radiating outward. Gimlet was forced back, shocked by the growing list of Cross's mastered techniques. Gimlet struggled to keep up, narrowly dodging the area attack. The crowd realized Cross wasn't just fast, he was evolving mid-battle with frightening versatility. Cross enhanced his body again, pressing forward without rest. His agility surged, his form blurring through air as he prepared for the next breakthrough. Cross launched himself with a powerful leap, closing in fast. His strike met Gimlet's blade, shaking the arena and forcing both into raw clash. The crowd watched in awe as dust exploded from their collision. Cross had finally matched Gimlet's speed, something no one thought possible until now. Gimlet realized Cross surpassed him in speed and strength. A fair fight was no longer an option. Still, he refused to back down. Cross declared himself equal. His fierce glare challenged Gimlet's pride. The noble, insulted, lunged forward, unable to accept standing beside someone born without status. Gimlet rebuked the idea of equality, claiming only those with tireless training earned power. He viewed Cross's rise as hollow and undeserving. Cross met Gimlet's fury head-on, blades clashing. Each strike now came with full force, neither yielding as the tension in the arena escalated. Both fighters charged again, exchanging relentless blows. Cross kept adapting. Gimlet, shouting with frustration, tried to overwhelm him, refusing to acknowledge his strength. Their blades clashed in a storm of skill and pride. Neither would yield. Each attack carried the weight of their beliefs and goals. The crowd watched, captivated. Status no longer mattered, only strength, resolve, and heart. Sparks lit the arena as their duel reached its fiercest moment yet. As both fighters reached their peak, they realized the match had only begun. Energy surged. Their duel now shifted into a true test of will. Away from the arena, Cross's mentors watched proudly, imagining his victory and rewards. Despite playful fantasies, they knew his growth had become undeniable. Cross endured a fierce barrage, gradually closing the gap against Gimlet. His training had sharpened each move, narrowing their once overwhelming difference in speed and power. Though Gimlet activated multiple enhancements, Cross reacted instantly, instincts honed from endless drills. The crowd held its breath as both launched into simultaneous final attacks. Dodging at the last second, Cross twisted midair. With a counter-strike landing clean, he seized the moment, turning the impossible into his first true victory. Rion unleashed a technique with overwhelming speed, tearing through the air. Cross was struck mid-guard, his body flung as blood danced in streaking arcs. Still standing, Cross analyzed the move's hidden rhythm. The forest lay devastated, his mind focused. He braced himself, eyes locked onto the enemy's form. Among thousands of blows, one fatal strike was buried. Cross sharpened every sense, endured the pain, and prepared to intercept what truly mattered his moment next. Spotting an opening, Cross launched his counter. Timing perfect, blade aligned, he struck with a move born from instinct and survival, the intermediate cross counter. His body twisted under recoil, but momentum flipped. With grit and control, he reversed the reversal, sending shock through his opponent mid-air, forcing sudden retreat. Despite the fierce duel, Gimlet calmly countered back. Observers watched in awe as Cross displayed control over a skill thought unreachable without noble lineage. Despite grievous wounds, Cross remained upright. His opponent's relentless pursuit overwhelmed every strategy. Cross relied on his regeneration, stalling through raw will and stubborn endurance. His strength waned. Every tactic failed. Distance and difference became undeniable. A crushing realization filled him: he was outclassed by sheer experience and precision alone. Knees trembling, Cross stood frozen. Defeat loomed over him, yet his opponent halted. Silence fell as confusion replaced certainty, changing everything in a single breath. Cross learned the truth: his opponent was leagues ahead by birth, skill, and training. Reality stung deeper than wounds. Still, her words weren't cruel. As she walked away, her kindness left a heavier mark than any blade. Cross remained kneeling, stunned by compassion he hadn't expected or understood. Realizing his doubt had been self-made, he clenched his sword tighter. To fall now meant betraying everyone's belief, including the one he'd failed to see. Driven by his allies' support, Cross charged forward. Fear vanished. He had no room left to doubt, not after everything they'd done for him. With every ounce of power, he activated all enhancements at once. His blade met the enemies with speed, strength, and precision gained through relentless training. Struck again, Cross refused to fall. He recovered midair, eyes focused. Another counter launched, one more chance to seize the moment before it slipped away. Cross, battered but resolute, recalled his master's words. Training wasn't survival, it was preparation. His bloodied limbs moved again, fueled by purpose stronger than pain. This moment was everything. His answer to their teachings. His leap beyond the wall. Cross launched forward, refusing to fall short of their expectations. His foe mocked the repetition, unaware of the change. Cross's rhythm shifted. An unseen shift disrupted everything. The power behind his stance had transformed completely. Their blades clashed again. Cross read the flow, syncing with the rhythm. Step by step, he began mirroring the master's refined form and execution. Observers gasped. The exchange repeated endlessly, but Cross endured. Each movement taught him something new. Despite exhaustion, he rose again, unwilling to yield or fall. With every strike, he adapted, turning his enemy's strength into a lesson. His counter grew sharper, evolving mid-battle. What once overwhelmed him now fueled growth. Cross's technique surpassed its former limits mid-battle. As his blade connected, the enemy recognized it. His growth had turned the duel into true training. Cornered and exhausted, the boy triggered an emergency escape. His opponent surged forward, relentless, demanding answers. Magic clashed again, lighting the battlefield with stubborn resistance. Despite the pressure he endured, observers watched intently as he created a narrow opportunity. Driven by instinct, he launched forward, risking everything in one leap. With precision, he evaded the strike. Cloaked in speed and training, he ascended sharply, rising beyond reach, his movements honed through countless trials under harsh masters. Above the battlefield, a large spell gathered strength. The boy moved fast, aiming to interrupt the caster before the devastating magic could be released. His opponent mocked the attempt, dodging cleanly. With focus and planning, the boy endured. The swirling wind exploded violently, masking a hidden strategic shift. Dark clouds formed. The wind magic intensified. Shock filled the boy's face as new black magic turned the sky itself into a looming threat. The clash turned brutal. He lunged, aiming to end it with a precise strike. His opponent responded swiftly, refusing to be caught off guard. Surprised, he noticed the stance wasn't magic, it was calculated defense. Before impact, momentum shifted. A powerful counter began, aiming directly for his exposed position. Too late to react, he was struck down by a disruptive technique. An unfamiliar skill shattered his rhythm and overwhelmed him in an instant. His opponent trembled with disbelief. The energy surge swelled uncontrollably. Furious denial echoed as the reality of defeat became clearer, tightening around her collapsing composure. She screamed against the outcome, unable to accept the reversal. Her pride fractured. The boy stood firm, unleashing a focused blast that ended hesitation. The final strike hit with unrelenting force. The enemy's resistance shattered completely. Smoke rose as the battle's momentum tipped, leaving the victor standing alone in silence. The impact launched the opponent through the air. Dust and shockwaves rippled outward. The boy remained steady, bracing himself as the strike finished landing. Crashing into the ground, the opponent lay motionless. Yet something flickered, an emergency ward ignited. The fight wasn't fatal, but the result was unmistakably clear. The crowd grasped the truth. The duel had ended. Breathing heavily, the boy stood alone, framed by silence and sky, victorious through sheer resolve. Exhausted but firm, the boy declared his intent. His fight was never just for himself, it was for everyone he vowed to protect and honor. The match concluded. Silence gave way to cheers. The announcer declared the result, while the defeated opponent lay unconscious. Victory was finally and unquestionably his. His friends swarmed him in joy. Cheers filled the arena. Questions and admiration followed. In the crowd, even rivals stood still, watching him with awe. Tears broke through laughter. Friends argued and scolded him out of worry. He apologized quietly, realizing how deeply his reckless strength had affected them. He spoke sincerely, saying the fight was for their sake. Pain lingered, but relief settled. A fist bump sealed the moment between trusted allies. The crowd dispersed. His mentor watched silently, moved by the outcome. Later, he lay resting. Exhausted, finally allowed a moment of peace and quiet. The mentors praised the outcome, proud of the result. For once, they celebrated without lifting a finger, smiling as victory unfolded just as hoped. He thanked everyone warmly. Their support had made the impossible possible. His honesty moved them, though chaotic affection and arguments quickly followed his heartfelt moment. While laughter continued, an unknown threat stirred in the distance. What seemed like the end of a chapter quietly marked the beginning of something greater. Cross enjoyed a peaceful soak, unaware of the chaos erupting nearby. A mistimed entrance sparked arguments, confusion, and towel-clad shouting in the changing room. Cross sat alone, burdened by a rising threat. Elsewhere, Gimlet snapped, ordering an elite unit to punish him for disrupting her fragile pride. Determined to crush him, Gimlet planned to involve assassins, risking factional war. Cross sensed doom approaching, but could not comprehend the depths of her obsession. As her manic laughter echoed, Gimlet vowed to destroy him completely. Cross, unaware of the storm ahead, remained trapped between power, politics, and personal revenge. Under moonlight, an elite assassin unit advanced silently through the town. Their mission was clear: eliminate Cross a la carte, without drawing attention to their presence. Reaching the residence, the commander briefed the squad. Cross's protection by powerful adventurers posed a risk, but the bounty was too large to ignore. The assassins infiltrated the house cautiously. Shadows moved room to room. Cross remained unaware as danger crept closer, every corner now echoing with intent to kill. The assassins searched room to room, puzzled by the silence. No presence, no resistance, only emptiness, as if the entire building had been a trap. Following a hidden stairwell, they emerged into a vast underground estate. Confusion spread. This was no hideout, it was a fortress designed to mislead intruders. Realizing the original house was a decoy, they regrouped. With targets confirmed inside, the squad split into teams, preparing for a high-risk, direct assault. A team reached the bedroom, blades ready. The figure in bed didn't move. Tension rose as they approached, sensing something was not quite right. The assassins struck only to hit a decoy. Instantly, a magical trap triggered beneath them, rumbling through the floor as they were caught off guard. Freezing magic burst outward, locking their limbs in ice. Panic followed as the trap overwhelmed them, their ambush shattered before any target was found. She stepped forward, demanding answers. The freezing air surrounding her exposed the assassins instantly. Their hidden presence collapsed under her overwhelming detection skills. The assassins froze in shock as her magic silenced them mid-response. She confirmed their professional background and prepared to extract information by force. With cruel precision, she reminded them survival was guaranteed, only pain awaited. Her team stood ready, able to restore even shattered bodies without hesitation. Cornered and broken, one assassin surrendered. His cries echoed through the halls. Above, another group faced a different presence, one even colder than before. A new woman emerged, calm yet lethal. Her poison spread silently. The assassins collapsed, strength fading. She counted them, unimpressed by their failed ambush. Sitting in her room, she mocked their effort. Their numbers had been wrong. Meanwhile, their commander sensed something was wrong, but it was already too late. The walls shattered as another force entered the fight. Chaos spread quickly. One warrior's sheer strength sent enemies crashing without restraint or concern. The attackers realized too late they faced someone beyond high class. Her presence alone crushed resistance, her power overwhelming even advanced assassin instincts. Screams erupted through the mansion. Elsewhere, Cross finally noticed the disturbance, confused by the noise and destruction unfolding just beyond his room. Cross apologized for the chaos, overwhelmed. His mentors remained casual, explaining the attack stemmed from petty spite. The danger, however, was now escalating rapidly. The assassins became training tools. His masters planned lessons around them, pushing Cross to grow stronger, knowing future threats would only become more lethal. Realizing the attack was meant to cripple him, Cross stood stunned. For the first time, he doubted his weakness and questioned his true potential. Cross stood frozen as his mentors surrounded him, their expressions darkened with intent. He realized too late he had no say in the punishment ahead. Captured enemies faced interrogation. Despite pressure, one remained silent. The mentors prepared harsher tactics, undeterred by resistance, determined to extract answers by any necessary means. Cross grew anxious, waiting for his unreliable companions. Pacing near the estate, he feared they'd betrayed him and fled with the payment. Frustration turned to panic when an unexpected voice thundered. A massive figure charged at him, fists flying. Cross barely reacted before crashing into the stone floor. Groaning from the blow, Cross looked up and froze. His father, Duke Hamlet Waldrea, legendary war hero, stood towering, enraged and clearly disappointed by the chaos. Cross, stunned by his father's scolding, realized too late the consequences of hiring assassins against legendary adventurers. His panic deepened with every furious word. As the doors burst open, a mound of unconscious attackers collapsed into view. Cross stared, horrified, recognizing the full failure of his reckless scheme. From the shadows emerged three powerful women radiating magic, their fury silent but palpable. They advanced, ready to reduce the entire estate if provoked further. The women's sheer presence radiated such pressure that even Duke Hamlet, a proud warrior, knelt beside his son in submission, overwhelmed by silent wrath. Cross realized with dread that these were the infamous Gobless Trio, unstoppable legends, who once razed an entire fortress overnight in ruthless retaliation. Dragged helplessly, Cross watched as they delivered justice without restraint. Despite fear, a strange warmth bloomed, grateful they cared enough to avenge him so fiercely. Cross stepped forward, calming the tense room. Though angry, he urged restraint, reminding them that justice shouldn't cross into needless cruelty or lingering vengeance. Faced with a choice, Cross offered a truce. He acknowledged fault on both sides and proposed peace, valuing resolution over pride and punishment. His sincerity surprised even the Duke. Cross's words bridged the gap between nobility and commoners, shifting hostility into uncertain but hopeful forgiveness. Gimlet, overwhelmed by Cross's mercy, found it more jarring than any show of force. Forgiveness from the powerless struck deeper than the threat of destruction. Despite Cross's low standing, his words carried unmatched weight. Choosing peace over vengeance, he inspired awe in hearts long ruled by fear and pride. Tears flowed freely as Gimlet bowed, renouncing hostility. In a trembling voice he pledged loyalty to Cross, vowing to serve him for the rest of his life. Cross gently lifted Gimlet's chin, reaffirming loyalty with sincere words. Shocked by unwavering faith, Gimlet felt relief. Three women observed, their surprise tempered by respect. Recognizing duel's terms, the women conveyed acceptance and loyalty transfer. Gimlet trembled, torn by social gulf. Still, pressed by acceptance, he bowed, sealing his fate. Celebration unfolded as confetti drifted through the manor courtyard. Tension dissolved into harmony. Cross's leadership and Gimlet's oath united aristocracy and commoners under newfound trust. Cross returned to the city amid cheers and confetti. His faction's formation stirred both awe and confusion, shaking the established order with newfound power. Nobles and commoners alike debated Cross's sudden rise. Whispers speculated on his abilities, his charm, and how his unexpected triumph changed social dynamics overnight. Despite admiration, tension remained. Cross's companions urged discipline, balancing excitement with responsibility. The journey back to normal life promised challenges and hard lessons ahead. Cross struggled to keep peace as his companions bickered. Despite the chaos, he hoped his rising influence would protect orphans from further mistreatment. Behind bars, the women reflected on Cross's astonishing growth from one battle. They acknowledged his rapid development but warned challenges still awaited. A glowing skill list revealed Cross's extraordinary progress despite being jobless. His mysterious growth intrigued allies and foes alike, signaling an uncertain future ahead. A new powerful error skill, Aegis Shot, emerges, merging multiple stat-boosting abilities that normally cannot be combined, signaling an unprecedented advancement in skill integration. The mysterious Another status fuses 8 enhancement skills into one, creating a formidable error skill. Its growth may be slow, but its performance is extraordinarily potent. Though limited by growth only through support skills, Cross's skill development surpasses expectations. If this error skill continues growing, his potential could eventually exceed all class skills. Cross's growth is unpredictable and impressive, prompting others to consider bringing him closer for better guidance and control over his rapidly developing skills. Despite concerns, the group agrees to disband temporarily, focusing on individual skill development. Cross contemplates his progress and the necessity of manifesting thief-type skills. A lively celebration is held in honor of Cross's achievements. Friends cheer him on, while some react with playful frustration, highlighting the bonds forged through training. Cross gets heavily drunk during the celebration. Friends react with concern and amusement as they try to manage his wild behavior and keep the mood light. Reflecting on the previous day, Cross feels grateful for the praise on his new skill and resolves to work hard to honor his mentors. While walking alone, Cross is suddenly caught by surprise and captured. A mysterious figure confirms they have found him, setting up a new conflict. Alicia appears unexpectedly, surprising Cross. She questions his rapid rise, noting his ability to command nobles despite being a commoner, revealing a new challenge ahead. Alicia probes deeper, hinting Cross's ambitions might include a significant role in the city, challenging him to confront his true potential and goals. She reveals the importance of the hero's companion position, suggesting Cross's growing influence is leading him toward this prestigious and powerful role. Alicia explains, most adventurers aim to build factions and make names for themselves in the city, implying Cross's ambitions align with this common goal. Cross panics over a misunderstanding about marriage to Alicia, hastily clarifying his intentions while she listens thoughtfully, sensing the complexity beneath his nervousness. Alicia reflects on her own feelings, admitting things have felt strange since meeting Cross, causing her to forget even her own position and purpose. Alicia apologizes for misunderstanding and leaves. Cross nervously calls after her, trying to stop her as she walks away, feeling conflicted and uncertain. Alicia enjoys a meal in the city, savoring the unexpected pleasure. Cross reflects on her happiness and considers her invitation, sensing deeper meaning in her actions. Cross notices Alicia's improved demeanor and asks about the fighting festival's opening ceremony, hoping to understand her better while managing his own worries. Alicia reveals her distant behavior was due to her role as a hero's descendant, bound by family duty to destroy the demon lord, leaving little freedom. She explains her life is controlled by her family's mission, with no personal will involved. Cross listens empathetically, sensing the heavy burden she carries. Cross comforts Alicia, understanding her struggles. They share a moment of quiet support, acknowledging the pressures each faces while continuing their journey together. Cross suggests if anyone besides the hero's bloodline could defeat the demon lord, Alicia could live more freely. She reacts with a mixture of surprise and hope. Alicia laughs nervously, hinting at the possibility of Cross becoming strong enough to defeat the demon lord, leaving Cross embarrassed yet determined. Meanwhile, Cross's friends approach a location, discussing his current state and concerns over his well-being, reflecting their protective care amidst difficult circumstances. Cross and Alicia sit together at a table in a lively market. Their friends approach quietly, noticing them from a distance, signaling a moment of reunion or confrontation. Tension rose as the group faced an unexpected city attack. The strongest female masters prepared for conflict, each determined to protect their ideals and the innocent. Amidst the chaos, a calm woman's gentle smile diffused hostility. The others struggled to grasp her kindness, unsure if such warmth could survive their harsh reality. Apologies and embarrassment surfaced as sincerity broke down barriers. A fragile peace formed, promising understanding despite their clashing views on strength and training methods. She feared misunderstanding might return if taken seriously. The young man was confused, unsure how to respond as emotions quietly shifted between them. Suddenly, a strange tension arose outside. Suspicious figures swarmed nearby, recognizing the hero's descendant and causing alarm among those watching closely. The strongest female master calmed her allies, dismissing fears. She assured them no lowly fool could threaten one tied to heroic blood, restoring a fragile peace. Suddenly alert, Alicia sensed a deadly presence targeting her. Despite doubts, the threat felt real, prompting urgent preparations for what was to come. The group watched anxiously as Alicia departed, promising to reconnect later. Unseen forces drained their energy, leaving them vulnerable and confused about the strange attack. Tensions rose among the allies, jealousy and fear stirring as they worried about Cross discovering the truth behind the mysterious assault and Alicia's power. The group realized their rivalry risked losing Cross to outsiders. They resolved to act carefully, protecting their training without disturbing his growth or their fragile unity. Cross set out determined to become a hero like Alicia. He embraced the difficult goal, motivated by hope and the legends surrounding Demon Lord Slayers. Suddenly, Cross detected a powerful presence nearby. His calm was broken, signaling that challenges and dangers would soon test his resolve and strength. Cross was caught off guard by a sudden attack. He scrambled to defend himself, surprised by his own ability to block the unexpected strike. His opponent acknowledged Cross's skill, revealing the previous fight was intentional. Curious onlookers gathered, making Cross wary of their unknown motives and intentions. Cross faced multiple strangers who didn't recognize him. Without appraisal skills, he remained cautious, realizing the situation was more dangerous and complex than he first thought. Cross was confronted by powerful opponents who resented his rising reputation. Despite the threat, he dodged and prepared for the intense fight ahead with determination. Outnumbered and outpowered, Cross used agility and quick thinking to evade capture. The attackers relentlessly pursued him across rooftops, testing his resolve under pressure. Cross remembered his master's warnings about ambushes but felt the sting of surprise. His pursuers pressed on, forcing him to rely on every skill he had learned. Cross contemplated whether to fight his pursuers one by one or shake them off stealthily. He prepared mentally for the difficult battle ahead. Caught by surprise, Cross barely escaped an attack. His companions explained advanced skills gave their foes shared detection abilities, forcing Cross to stay alert and strategic. Despite recognizing their power and speed, Cross refused to give up. He faced his opponent head-on, determined to prove himself and survive the fight. Cross countered fiercely, impressing his opponent with his growing skill. The fight intensified as both exchanged powerful attacks, pushing their limits in the dangerous battle. Enemy magic users launched fiery spells at Cross. He dodged and prepared to respond, facing overwhelming odds with determination and quick thinking. Cross's robbery magic caught the enemies by surprise, disrupting their attacks. Shocked, they struggled as he turned the tide, showing unexpected strength and skill in combat. Giselle unleashed a powerful attack, swiftly neutralizing enemies. The group barely escaped harm, their relief shadowed by the looming dangers still threatening the city. Giselle was interrupted during her morning training by urgent news. She quickly prepared to rush to Cross's side, her resolve growing stronger with every moment. Hurrying through her routine, Giselle's determination heightened. Despite the sudden disruption, she embraced the challenge ahead, ready to face whatever awaited in the city's turmoil. Cross narrowly escapes a thug attack and meets Giselle, who warns him of rumors about rewards for beating him. The city's security is now involved. Cross and his allies discuss the threats from nobles using assassins, manipulating rumors to target him. The danger comes from hidden factions uneasy with Cross's power. Cross faces accusations with frustration but stays loyal to his code. Despite doubts and fear, he remains formal and dedicated, determined to serve and survive the conflict. The group acknowledges the threat against Cross, caused by overconfident nobles. Cross struggles to lead due to injury, but loyalty demands protection despite their vulnerabilities. Giselle insists on personally guarding Cross at all times, vowing protection. Tensions rise as Giselle and another servant clash over their roles, showing strain in their loyalty. Meanwhile, a council discusses the unpredictability of attacks. They plan defensive measures, knowing the current bodyguard strategy is only a temporary solution amid uncertain dangers. Cross worries about relying on his protectors during danger. The group plans a short-term combat training camp to improve skills and prepare for unpredictable threats. The camp combines school and short expeditions to develop real combat experience. They aim to strengthen fundamentals and avoid bad habits from constant running away. Cross will join requests for real battles to build skill variety. Though overwhelmed, he is assured rest and support, balancing training with recovery. Cross recognizes his master's preparation as flawless, sensing their foresight in planning. The group steels themselves, readying for the challenges that lie ahead with resolve. The party journeys toward the abyssal forest's heart, surprised by the danger. They anticipate a critical meeting deep within the mysterious forest's dark and treacherous expanse. They arrive at a vast beach bordering the forest, awestruck by the ocean's expanse. This new setting marks a pivotal point in their ongoing adventure. The group agrees on a temporary truce to avoid interfering with each other's progress. Cross stands alone at the ocean's edge, feeling the salty air. Cross marvels at the vast, beautiful ocean, enjoying the moment. His companions arrive, ready to have fun while waiting for their mysterious client. Though the expedition is meant to be intense training, the group plans to relax and unwind. Cross is surprised when handed unfamiliar clothing for aquatic training. Cross feels uneasy in the unfamiliar attire near the forest's edge. He notices changes his masters hinted at, sensing something unexpected approaching. Ryon appears confidently in a revealing outfit, catching Cross off guard. The atmosphere grows tense as emotions and surprises quietly stir between them. Ryon worries she may have pushed boundaries, embarrassed by Cross's reaction. Cross apologizes, overwhelmed by the unexpected moment, while both struggle with their feelings. Cross is startled by Ryon's sudden appearance and worried about what he said. Her presence brings nervous energy, creating an awkward but meaningful moment between them. Telemea arrives in a carefully chosen swimsuit, hoping to impress. Cross is caught off guard, while the group senses rising tension mixed with playful anticipation. Telemea regrets her bold choice, feeling vulnerable. Cross reacts nervously but honestly, revealing the unspoken boundaries they're testing. The moment balances humor and emotional complexity. A massive sea serpent attacks suddenly, threatening the group. Cross watches in shock as the monster rises, and the others brace themselves, prepared for a fierce battle. Lyudmila confronts the others about their revealing attire, demanding decency. The group insists on enjoying the beach, despite awkwardness and rising tensions around their choices. Telemea playfully asks Cross to apply a magical lotion aiding underwater movement. The others react with embarrassment and frustration, highlighting their conflicting personalities and teasing dynamics. Suddenly, a massive sea serpent appears, forcing the group to shift from playful to serious. The danger demands immediate action, testing their readiness and teamwork. Two women face a colossal sea serpent threatening their lives. As the monster attacks fiercely, they call for help, preparing for a desperate counterattack. The serpent unleashes a powerful water blast, but one woman swiftly evades and counters with a barrage of rapid punches, striking with precise force. Her relentless assault causes a massive explosion, devastating the serpent. The beast cries out in pain as the battle's tide shifts in their favor. A young man watches the defeated sea serpent, amazed by the fight. He reflects on past struggles and the strength needed to protect others. Suddenly caught off guard, the young man is thrown by a force. As he regains balance, he notices a familiar figure approaching quietly. The woman reveals a confident, graceful presence. She changes into a striking outfit, showing a bold side unseen before, catching the young man completely off guard. The young man freezes, overwhelmed by her appearance. Her bold gesture confuses him, unsure how to respond without causing misunderstanding. As she nervously awaits his reaction, he blurts out his praise. Embarrassed, he turns away, trying to contain his flustered thoughts and emotions. She draws closer, heart racing from his compliment. Tension rises between them, and both begin to realize their feelings may run deeper than expected. Suddenly caught making out, the two are harshly confronted by a furious woman demanding an explanation for their inappropriate behavior in a sensitive client area. The woman threatens severe punishment if the incident is revealed. Meanwhile, others deny involvement, desperately trying to keep the situation under control and avoid conflict. Later, the group discusses recent events, including the sea serpent fight. They explain political reasons behind their actions, emphasizing the need to maintain appearances between factions. The group reveals the request is special because it involves the young human. Their presence is critical, even over high-ranking adventurers. He questions why he's needed, as the others explain it relates to specific details of the mission that only he can fulfill. Without delay, the group heads to the mission site. They prepare for what awaits, moving swiftly across the vast landscape toward the destination. The group enters a vast icy cavern, using powerful ice magic to open the way. The cold air signals the entrance to a dangerous place. They discover the entrance to a dungeon. The leader explains this is not ordinary. The client demands its conquest for a specific purpose. The dungeon is a special condition type, accessible only to those meeting strict criteria. The group prepares, knowing this challenge requires more than just strength. The dungeon is extremely difficult, designed for those with power far beyond level 10. Only someone with exceptional strength could hope to conquer it. Despite his low level and jobless status, the young man has defeated powerful opponents. The group entrusts him to retrieve a special item beyond the dungeon boss. The item is linked to the demon god's legacy rare treasures from the previous Demon King's army. Recovering these will boost the demon lord's standing and power. Though doubting success, the group trusts the young man's surprising strength. They promise a generous reward, including any weapon found among the hidden treasures. He wonders why previous treasure hunters gave up, despite the dungeon's secure hiding place. The group provides him with an advanced multi-function item box for storage. They also supply potent healing potions and a special necklace for monitoring an emergency escape. Their cautious support aims to keep him safe on the mission. The group finalizes preparations for the dungeon mission. A mentor promises to guide the young man with strategy to improve his survival and achieve their goals. The young man commits to the plan, determined to succeed. The team stands behind him, ready to face the challenges of the dungeon together. The protagonist enters the undersea dungeon, cautiously using presence detection at level 3. They narrowly evade enemies, preparing for the challenges ahead in this mysterious cavern. After a close call, the protagonist receives instructions on their approach. Prioritize avoiding combat by using thief-like skills to safely navigate and conquer the dungeon's dangers. Training focuses on presence concealment, enhancing stealth under real conditions. Suppressing magic and stamina use reduces injury risks, though it challenges the protagonist's nerves and mana endurance. The young warrior cautiously advanced through the cave, spotting a pack of fierce silver wolves blocking the path. He knew direct battle would be perilous and planned to sneak past. As the wolves noticed his presence, their growls filled the air. Suddenly, the pack lunged at him with surprising coordination, forcing him to react defensively, caught off guard. Thrown back violently by the wolves, he was saved just in time by an unexpected ally using an emergency escape. Disoriented, he struggled to understand what had happened next. The group explained presence concealment's flaws. Scent cannot be masked and mana leaks during attacks, making stealth difficult and requiring precise timing and strategy to succeed. The warrior faced the wolves again, knowing his scent would soon betray him. He had only seconds left to act before detection overwhelmed him. With enhanced speed and sword skills, he attacked suddenly. His presence vanished briefly, catching the wolves off guard and gaining a crucial advantage in the fight. The warrior escaped the wolf pack's attack, retreating deeper into the cave. The wolves surrounded the narrow passage, ready to trap him in their hunt. He silently observed the wolves fallen in battle. Inspired by his master's teachings, he planned to lure them into the narrow passage to launch a surprise attack. After a long struggle, the warrior reached the dungeon boss's door. He prepared himself mentally, wondering what kind of formidable opponent awaited him beyond. The warrior woke up, surprised by his surroundings. His companions praised his efforts, but he struggled to remember the overwhelming defeat by the dungeon boss. They explained the dungeon boss's strength and advised resting overnight. He needed to improve skills and try again with better preparation and strategy. Determined, the warrior checked his skill growth and drank a healing potion. He prepared to face the dungeon boss again, ready to overcome his previous failure. The warrior entered the dungeon's spiked cavern, ready despite low presence concealment skill. He pressed forward, determined to face the boss and succeed this time. Sensing the dungeon boss nearby, the warrior recalled his previous attempt. Nervous but focused, he prepared to confront the glowing orb that represented the hidden enemy. Despite the boss's presence filling the room, the warrior couldn't see it. He concentrated intensely, searching for any clue to reveal the invisible foe's location. The warrior dodged a massive earthworm attack using emergency evasion and enhanced physical ability. The creature broke through his presence concealment unexpectedly. He kept evading and preparing to counterattack. The earthworm lunged repeatedly, but the warrior stayed alert, ready for the right moment to strike back decisively. Seizing the chance, he executed a cross-counter, hitting the earthworm's eye. The attack surprised the monster, giving the warrior an opening to continue the fight. The group explained presence concealment's flaws and dangers. Cross understood that scent cannot be hidden, and combining attack skills with concealment is difficult. Cross realized getting caught by scent was imminent. He prepared to strike quickly before being detected by the approaching wolves, deciding to act fast. Cross launched a surprise attack, enhancing his speed and strength. His presence was fully concealed, shocking the wolves as he struck swiftly and decisively. The main body of the dungeon boss was revealed after the explosion. Cross was shocked but ready to confront the true enemy now exposed. The ground trembled violently as monstrous tentacles erupted from below. Cross froze, eyes wide, realizing too late the enormous creature had finally emerged, towering over him. Facing the grotesque being known as Battle Lampadine, Cross readied his stance. Countless eyes blinked around him, each tentacle shifting to guard the central core. Analyzing its movement, Cross spotted the truth: the main eye was its weak point. The creature had hidden underground, masking vulnerabilities with overwhelming tentacle force. Tentacles surged outward, eyes blinking erratically. Cross dashed between them, narrowly evading impact. The creature's relentless defense overwhelmed him, making any advance toward the core impossible. Realizing evasion alone wouldn't work, Cross charged forward. Blades grazed him, but he endured. The deeper he moved, the thicker the tentacles crowded his path. He raised his spear, clutching it tightly. With narrowed focus, he committed to slipping through the assault, ready to blind the eyes watching his every move. Cross launched a fierce assault with rapid strikes. His blade danced between tentacles, forcing space open. The beast reeled as the core defenses began to thin. Energy swirled as he unleashed a wind-based barrage. The creature's tentacles shredded apart, stunned by the force. He struck hard, but the core remained untouched. Panting, Cross evaluated the damage. Several limbs were down, but the eye was unharmed. He prepared to repeat the tactic, driving toward the final breakthrough. Just as Cross prepared another strike, the creature regenerated before his eyes. Shocked, he realized the damage he'd dealt was being undone almost instantly. He deduced the monster was absorbing the dungeon's magic to heal. As long as that power remained, the creature's regeneration would never end. Driven by urgency, Cross surged forward again. Realizing raw strength wouldn't be enough, he invoked a magic burst, aiming to rip it down by force. Cross attacked the tentacles directly, realizing they linked to the core. If weakened through dark magic, he hoped it would disrupt the entire massive body. One blow landed, then stopped. A defensive magic intercepted his spell. Hurt and drained, Cross was thrown back, barely standing, recovery magic keeping him alive. Surrounded and spent, Cross recalled his mentor's words. Their advice echoed: use unpredictability, strike with tactics the enemy hates. He prepared one final counterattack. Regaining composure, Cross activated physical enhancement. He realized blinding the enemy didn't require force, only timing, precision, and one last chance to strike from within. Power surged into his weapon. The atmosphere thickened around him. Channeling all remaining strength, Cross prepared the triple wind lance, locking in on his target. Releasing the stored magic, he launched simultaneous wind attacks. Shockwaves tore through the battlefield, forcing the colossal monster's focus to break. Its defenses finally faltered. The wind lances struck true. Shockwaves crushed the creature's eye. It shrieked and thrashed wildly, its limbs flailing in every direction as the attack continued. Cross stood his ground as the monster spun in agony. The strikes wounded it deeply, but even now its powerful magical defenses slowed full collapse. Panting, Cross studied the enemy's shifting form. It coiled to protect its core again. Seeing an opening, he launched forward, one final plan forming mid-sprint. Cross dodged wildly as wind and dust spiraled. The monster recoiled, but its eye remained unharmed. Cross hid his energy, preparing to vanish from sight. Using concealment and detection magic, Cross disappeared. The creature scanned for him blindly, unaware he had already shifted position, silently stalking from the opposite side. With boosted speed and focus, Cross reappeared. His blade pierced the opening. The monster's eye cracked as it roared, its massive limbs convulsing in shock. The monster fell still. Cross stood atop its core, exhausted but victorious. Breathing hard, he looked toward the now open gate deeper into the dungeon.